What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blake. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 316. And episode 316 says, I just whipped your ass. Shout out to my fellow wrestling fan booger eaters out there. It is episode 316, and this week we got a big one on the hook here, ladies and gentlemen. Mass Effect 3. We covered Mass Effect 2 a couple of years ago here on the show, and we praised the piss out of it. And this episode is going to be pretty similar. I have a couple minor gripes with Mass Effect 3, which kind of forced me to rank it behind Mass Effect 2, but it is still a spectacular game and a spectacular trilogy. And I'm going to warn you right now, spoilers. We are going to spoil the shit out of it when we get to the game talk. The Mass Effect games, if you have not played them, are just driven by the stories, the characters, and the choices that you make. And it's not like one of those games where they're like, your choices matter, then they don't matter. Your choices fucking matter in this one. And it's just not possible to review a game like this without spoiling some of the plot points, especially because we have to talk about that controversial ending. We have to touch on it. And we're spoiling plot elements from all three Mass Effect games because stuff you do and decide and save, people you save, and stuff that happens in Mass Effect 1 can carry right through to the end of Mass Effect 3. So if you have not played these games and you want to avoid spoilers, I apologize. Enjoy the infamous intro and come back after you experience these incredible games, which might take you a while because there is a lot of meat on the Mass Effect bones. These are special games, and special games call for special guests, and this couldn't get much more topical. My guest this week is my man Ian, who's a longtime supporter, friend of the show, and one of the two hot dogs that had the highest bid in our auction from my 24-hour Extra Life stream last year. The person that wins that auction gets to be my guest on an episode of the podcast, and while it took us a full year to get through Mass Effect 3, we finished up just in time to publish this episode the same week as this year's Extra Life stream. And that wasn't planned. We were actually ready. We recorded this episode about a month and change ago, but I didn't want to drop the Mass Effect 3 episode in October while we were covering scary games, so it just happened to line up perfectly. I appreciate Ian's generosity, as does the Stollery Children's Hospital, and it was great getting a chance to sit with him and chat about one of the most incredible trilogies I've ever played, even if it took us a year to get there. And we'll get there in just a minute, because speaking of taking a year to get through something, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Dun, 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 dun! And if you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard, and consider this your warning. Our intros are a little long, but they're a good time. We talk video games and stuff. And deciding if you want to skip the intro or not is a lot less stressful than some of the decisions you make in Mass Effect. Holy fuck. But seriously, if you want to skip the intro, go to about the 30-minute mark. You'll be in a Mass Effect talk. Let me get my plugs out of the way. We have bills to keep on around here. We have all kinds of merch, hoodies, t-shirts, posters. You can find it all at rememberthegamepodcast.com. Shout out to my man Joe from 4545 Creative for designing all of it. And of course, if you like to go naked, I get it. Maybe just check out our Patreon. It's about the greatest deal in the history of the internet. Our patrons get up to 4 ad-free podcasts every week. A Simpsons show with Mark McHugh and I called Purple Monkey Dishwasher. A vlogging podcast where I just talk about my life and whatever I want called The Rambling Idiot. Our modern gaming news podcast, Game Patch, and our video game potpourri show, Expansion Pass, where we do rankings and we look back at systems. We do all kinds of fun stuff. Last week was Expansion Pass 235, and it was the first of 2 modern game reviews I'm planning this month, as I shared my thoughts on the Silent Hill 2 remake. I kept the review portion of that episode as spoiler-free as possible. I did tack a short spoiler cast on at the end, but if you haven't played or finished Silent Hill 2 remake yet, you're good for most of the podcast, and you really should play it, because it's a Game of the Year contender in my eye. My eyes, I guess I still have 2 eyes, 1.5 eyes. Anyways, as is becoming tradition, here is a sneak peek of last week's episode of Expansion Pass, my Silent Hill 2 remake review. I think this is a must-play game for any horror fan. This is my 4th Silent Hill game, and of Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, and then Silent Hill 2 remake, this is far and away the best of them. I think this is a brilliant fucking game. I paid full price for it. No regrets. I've seen some people say that they refuse to pay full price for a remake, and it's your prerogative because it's your money. But this is not like a half-assed, it's got a new hat remake. This is like I can't think of a single thing from Silent Hill 2 to Silent Hill 2 Remake that wasn't improved. And in many cases, improved exponentially. This game is so fucking good. That said, I am very, very happy that I made the decision to play the original version of the game before I played this one. So that's now available in our archives. And this week for Expansion Pass 236, it's my second of 2 straight modern game reviews. I'm going to tell you what I think of The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I was pretty stoked for this one. I love the idea of playing as Zelda. And it's not bad. It's just, I don't see it making my Game of the Year countdown or anything, but I'll get into that on the show this week. Again, subscriptions start at $3 a month. You get new shows without ads every week, instant access to hundreds of archive bonus podcasts with no ads in them. Plus, you get access to the Remember the Game Discord. You get to vote our Patreon poll each month. You get to submit comments to the show. You get DM with me, and you even get a shout out and get to hear me mispronounce your name like I'm certainly going to do to at least one of these people. A huge thank you to our newest Patreons, Steaming Wooly, Grimmies or Grimies? I think it's Grimmies. The Hangout Hut, and Plumole the Plumber. That sounds like a boy band or something. I like it anyways. Like the 4 names, I mean. You guys like Finger Bang from South Park. Anyway, Shaylee will be your 5th member. Thank you all so much. Man, Finger Bang was such a good episode. Thank you all so much for the support. Welcome to Remember the Game Industries, patreon.com/Remember the Game. And don't forget, we donate 5% of that money to the Stollery Children's Hospital, which we'll be doing this weekend, Friday, November 8th and Saturday, November 9th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain Time, both days. I'll be at twitch.tv/Remember the Game and youtube.com/Remember the Game. There'll be links at rememberthegamepodcast.com, streaming for 24 hours to try to raise money for the Stollery Children's Hospital. If you come by and donate at least $20, you'll be entered into draws to win video games, Remember the Game merch, and we'll be auctioning off a chance to be my guest on an episode of Remember the Game in the year 2025. Good fucking shit. All right, that's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. Our first blower this week is Butter Chicken, who said, "Hello, Mr. Blank. Thinking about Mario Kart 9, how would you feel about character-specific skills and item boxes? Like Donkey Kong could get a barrel cannon that launches him ahead 5 spots, or he gets a giant banana that shoots like a red shell and spins the player ahead off the track. Also, they should get rid of the blue shell." So there's an episode of Expansion Pass in our archives where we talked about our ideas for the next Mario Kart, and that was one of the ones that was controversial, as they say, and that was personalized items for each character, because like Mario Kart Double Dash did that, and it was awesome, but at the same time, I would totally be down with personalized items for each character, but only if they can balance it properly. Like, if somebody else gets, like, a fucking giant red shell that shoots through everybody, and then Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong just get a big banana they drop behind them, then no one's going to pick Donkey or Diddy Kong because you're going to want the character with the best personalized item. So, I'm totally okay with it as long as they find a way to at least somewhat balance them or counter. Maybe when you pick you know how you pick your character, then you pick your cart, and you design your cart with the wheels and the glider and all that stuff, maybe then you get to pick your specialized item out of everybody's or something. You just got to make sure it's fair. I don't want it to only be like everyone's playing the same 2 characters, but I'm down with the idea, assuming they can balance it. And I agree. The blue shell fucking sucks and it should be gone. And the only people that defend the blue shell are the people that never win, because they're the ones that get to use that fucking blue shell. Chazwaza said, "Hello, or hola, Senor Spiel Blanco." I like that. "In the Dragon Ball canon, there's a pocket dimension that the characters use to train for the next big bad, as one day in the normal world equates to a year in this dimension. Given that the big bad for most of us gamers is time itself, this would take a lot of the pressure off. If you were given a chance to spend one day/year in a place like this dimension with one video game, what game are you choosing to master?" My first thought was to say Tetris, and a year straight of just being able to play Tetris and nobody else around, and then come back and be the world's greatest Tetris player. But I think I'm going to shock some people. A lot of people have asked me to play the Souls games, and I say no because I don't have the patience, and I just get mad, and I rage quit, and they just piss me off, and I'm not good at them, and they're too slow for me, and herp-a-derp-a-derp. But if I had a year just stranded in a dimension where it was only one day in your lives, but it was a year away from society, and all I had to do was play a video game and get good, I think I would pick Elden Ring. And I would play it for a year and then just come back and be like, guys, I think I've changed my mind. I'm going to stream Elden Ring and just shock the world by looking like the greatest noob in the history of noobs. When in reality, I've been in the Dragon Ball canon practicing for a year. So that's, yeah, I'm going to go with that. Or Tetris, just because I love Tetris. The Big Deal said, after hearing about your recent love of shows like Flintstone Kids and A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, I don't remember ever saying Flintstone Kids. I did like A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, and I like Muppet Babies. I didn't know there was a Flintstone Kids show. Anyways, all right. Big Deal says, pick one current show and make them kids. For me, the obvious choice is South Park, following the adventures of 4th grade Randy, Gerald, and Stuart with Mr. Garrison as the Cartman-like antagonist. Honestly, I don't think I can top that. When I saw your comment as I was reading, I'm like, that would be a fun idea. But then I saw your South Park suggestion, and I was like, that's the one. That's it. That's what I want too. I just want to see all the parents from South Park as the kids, as kids. That's what there is no other show. That's the one I want. You win. Especially as Mr. Garrison. I was trying to think, would it be Mr. Garrison? That would be the Cartman character? But you're right, it probably would be. It probably would be. I'd like to see what Cartman's mom was like as a kid too. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I want. I want to South Park Kids. That's a great fucking... You should send that to Matt and Trey. That's a great fucking idea. Lee Carvello's Putting Challenge said, Canadian question here. Does everyone outside of Quebec learn French, or is that province just look on as an outsider? We don't all speak French. They do teach it in the schools here. And for the record, a lot of people in Quebec speak English too. So I don't know what percentage of Canada outside of Quebec is... I said bipolar. What is it? Bilingual. Bilingual. I don't know what percentage it is, but there is definitely like a portion of our population that speak both. And they do teach us a little bit. But not everybody outside can fluently speak le français. I can't. I wish I could, though, but I cannot. The Grim Patron said, hey there, Mr. Blank. There's an intruder in your home, and all you have to defend yourself with is the video game controller of your choosing. What is your weapon of choice and why? If it's a really dark room, I might take my chances with the Nintendo Zapper and try to convince them that I have a gun. But otherwise, I'm going to go with the Nintendo 64 controller. And I know what you might be thinking, dude, the NES controller is a brick. I don't disagree. And if you swing an NES controller around by the cord and smack some with it, you're going to do some fucking damage. But you swing around that Nintendo 64 controller by the cord and throw it at someone, that thing's a fucking trident. I might take out both eyes with that thing. So that's the... Plus, if it breaks, I don't really care because I don't like playing my... I was going to say I don't like playing my 64. I got to say... Just between me and you, listener, don't tell anybody else. I'm kind of warming up to the 64. I don't know what it is. I still think it's weird and that controller sucks, and I still prefer the Super Nintendo. But every time I play a game on it, like I'm playing F-Zero X right now for a future episode of Remember the Game, and every time I play a game with the 64 controller now, I'm like, this kind of feels right for some reason. It's weird. But that would be the controller, because you'd fuck somebody up. You threw a 64 controller at him. Fancy Store-Bought Dirt said, hey, bro, just wanted to say that since you've been digging Call of Duty Black Ops 6, you should definitely go back and check out some of the earlier games in the franchise. The Black Ops 1 campaign slaps. It's a classic, and it would make a great Remember the Game episode. I wanted to touch on this because one of the things I get asked about a lot, especially since I started playing Black Ops 6, which if you don't know, I've been playing, and it's my first Call of Duty, and it's been delightful. I've only been called like 2 slurs, and I've had a really good time. Zombies mode is where it's at, but I've been having a really good time. I get asked a lot, am I ever going to cover a Call of Duty on the show? I've been hesitant to do so because I don't really have any experience with the multiplayer of it. And so I would really just be able to review the campaign. And more of you have been writing in and telling me just do the campaign. And I think modern Call of Duty 4 comes up. Modern Warfare 2 comes up. Black Ops 1 comes up. Maybe. I'm not going to sit here and promise a Call of Duty episode someday because I still worry that people will discover the show and download that episode hoping for talk about their great times playing the multiplayer and shit. And then it's just going to be a campaign review unless I just say campaign review. So I'm a little bit gun shy, but the door is more open now than it was 2 weeks ago because I'm really enjoying Black Ops 6. So maybe at some point, maybe. And on the topic of Call of Duty, Montgomery Mole said, "Hi, Adam. What would you like to see the next Zombies map on Call of Duty be?" I would like to see, I think, a mall, because I love 28 Days Later. Was that the zombie movie where they were in the mall? I think it was. I think a shopping mall could be a lot of fun. I like the one where you're, of the two in Black Ops 6 right now, I like the one outside more than the power plant or whatever that is, but I do, or the prison or whatever the fuck it is. But I do think that I do like the objective more based playthrough of the second map, the power plant or the prison or whatever the fuck it is. I think a shopping mall would be a lot of fun. So that's going to be my pick, shopping mall. And then finally, before we move on, it's letter time. It's letter time. Andrew Pritchett said, "Top of the morning, Adam. Fellow Mega Man fan here. Or pardon me, fellow Mega Man mega fan here. Excuse me. On a previous episode of one of your shows, you mentioned that you understand the business decision of Capcom letting Mega Man sit because Resident Evil and other IPs are making so much more money. Here's the question. What do you think it would take to make the Mega Man IP financially competitive with these other franchises?" You know what? That's a great fucking question, Andrew. And I absolutely think that's why we're not getting more Mega Man, because as much as I love that little bastard, he just doesn't move the needle like Resident Evil or Monster Hunter or even Street Fighter. I think the best bet at getting Mega Man into the mainstream and getting him to that level is we would need a AAA, either first-person shooter or like third-person, you know, like this, the ones we've all played a billion times, Resident Evil, The Last of Us, you know, like Horizon, God of War, Gears of War, like, you know, like we've all played those third person shooters. I think we would need like a big AAA, super impressive graphics, open world, tons of robot masters, gets everybody to, like, I think that, and I would love it, by the way. I'd fucking love that. I think that's really the only way. I think as long as they're going with these side-scrolling budget titles like the last few, Mega Man 9, Mega Man 10, Mega Man 11, all games that I fucking love, by the way. The simple fact is a vast majority of the gamers out there, I don't think are going to look at them, especially newer gamers. I don't think those titles move the needle for the modern gen gamers like they do for us old-timey folks. I think if they were to go with like a big new AAA, sexy, like he's shiny and his fucking armor is getting beat up as he goes, and you give us a great story, I think that would be their best bet at getting the mainstream to talk about Mega Man more. That said, I would love that game and I'd play the fuck out of it. I really hope, and I said this, I think I said it on the episode you're talking about, I'd really like, if Capcom's not going to develop more Mega Man, like classic Mega Man games, then I would love for them to just hand the reins over to like some indie team. There's indie teams out there making these incredible retro-inspired games. Your Shovel Knights, your Hollow Knights, your Celestes. You've all played them. The Dead Cells, all those games. Give one of them Mega Man and see what they could do with it. I think you'd be really fucking shocked. That's what I would love that. But I think that would be their best bet at getting the mainstream talking, and I'd fucking play the shit out of it. Anything. Just give us something, Mega Man, please. Fucking please. Who knows? Maybe the episode of this show coming up. What's that fucking show called? Where there's going to be like 12 or 15 episodes on different gaming franchises. Maybe that Mega Man episode will blow up, and that'll be the resurgence we need for my beloved Blue Bomber. God, I love that guy. Anyways, thank you all for the submissions, everybody. We got to keep this ball rolling. So let's switch things up and get to our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. Play one, remake one, erase one. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. You know them. Every week, I give our listeners 3 retro video games. Excuse me. I don't know my own fucking rules. Every week I give our listeners 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third is erased from time forever. As always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one. We'll get there in a second. And this week we're talking Mass Effect 3, which is one of the most popular RPGs of the last couple of generations. A modern RPG, as it were. So I went with 3 more of those. Fallout 3, KOTOR, and Skyrim. And 34% of you said play Skyrim, remake KOTOR, and erase Fallout 3. Crazy. Let's see what a few of you had to say here. I'll tell you what the right answer was. I think this might be one of the most commented play one, remake one, erase ones ever. We had 107 comments in a couple of days. It was crazy. Nathan Crow said, I missed playing Fallout 3 the first time around, and while I could fix that at any time, I still haven't. I'll remake KOTOR because taking an epic game and updating the graphics is never a bad move, and that leaves Skyrim as the one to go, which is painful, especially if you've ever played it in VR. It's incredible, but I just like KOTOR better, and I want to keep the other game that I haven't played yet. I'm not a VR guy, but I think Skyrim in VR would be a pretty good time. I can get on board with that. It's tough. I don't want to erase any of these either. A lot of you wrote in just yelling at me for making this hard. I get it. I don't want to erase any of these either. I understand. Peppy Barrel said the easy choice is to erase Skyrim because there's like 2 quadrillion editions of that game and it's impossible to erase them all. I think I would remake Fallout 3 since it's the best Fallout game and could really make use of a graphical update. Easy for me to say. I never played KOTOR, but for me, that RPG is probably more playable in its original state than Fallout 3. I don't know if that's true. I'm going to warn you, Peppy. I played the original KOTOR for the first time a couple years ago for episode 100? It was around there. And it's a great game, but it's a little rough around the edges by today's standards. I'll tell you that right now. I don't know if this next name is Kimosabe or not because it's spelled Kimospia, but it looks like it should be Kimosabe. So I don't know if I just don't know how to spell or not. But anyways, they said play Skyrim because it's great. Even its flaws are endearing. I love dumb NPCs and random chaos. Remake KOTOR. Good game, great story, would rock with better looking lightsabers and blasters. Delete Fallout 3. I'm a fan of traditional Fallouts, the ones that were isometric view and had turn-based combat. They not only let you kill children, but there was a perk for it. You'd then get hunted by heroes like the villain you are, traversing the wasteland D&D style, using a map and only cutting to action once a random encounter was decided upon was more interesting than occasionally stumbling across an enemy or 3. Don't you just hate it when a game series you love makes a sudden total genre shift that never looks back? XCOM did something similar, but they still keep making tactics. Their first-person shooters tripped on their own feet and face-planted in fresh dog poo, though. I didn't know there were first-person shooters for XCOM, but even I prefer the tactical as well. I've always been interested in the original Fallouts. I've never played them. Fallout 3 to me is my favorite. But I gotta say, I've never played the OGs. I'm fascinated by them. I'm Fallout curious. The Archmage said, fuck you, Adam. This one sucks. I'd remake all of them. But since that's against the rules, I'll cut KOTOR since I have the least attachment to it. And there's tons of great Star Wars games, including KOTOR 2. I'll remake Fallout 3. That game is great, but I'd love to see it in a new engine with tighter shooting controls like Fallout 4 or Starfield has. Agreed. And I'll play Skyrim. I'm part of the problem with buying this game over and over. It's been remade and upgraded several times over. But if I had to pick one game to play, then I'll say Skyrim. To me, it's just infinitely replayable. And it's the peak of what Bethesda has done. There's no way I could ever erase this one. And Fallout 3 could do more benefit from a remake. I'm not going to disagree with the word you just said. Even though I like all 3 of these games, your logic is sound, Archmage. And Snow420 said this was actually really easy, barely an inconvenience. Skyrim is by far the worst of the 3 games. Plus, I like Morrowind and Oblivion way better. So play Fallout. That game's so fucking good and it's good as it is. Remake KOTOR because, could you imagine? Hopefully we can. I mean, it's the pretty obvious remake here. And then erase Skyrim. It's done better by the 2 I mentioned earlier and Fallout 3. I will say I agree that I kind of fucked up making KOTOR in a poll with Fallout 3 and Skyrim because I think most people are going to remake KOTOR. I should have gone with 3 games from the same generation. I'll own that. I'm actually going with the runner-up this week. 30% of you voted the way I did, as did up, down, left, right, BA Start, who said, Adam, fuck you, this one hurts. Play Fallout because I never finished it. Remake KOTOR because I never finished it. Erase Skyrim because I already have like 200 hours or something stupid like that into it. Fuck. Different reasoning because I finished all 3 of these games, but I'm going with the same order as up, down. I'm going to play Fallout 3. I'd love to remake Fallout 3. I almost remade it, but KOTOR just needs it so much more. So I'm going to play Fallout 3 because it is still playable. I love that game. I still dabble from time to time. I'm going to remake KOTOR because, come on, it needs it. And I'm going to erase Skyrim because it's awesome. It's a great game, but I'd rather play Fallout. I just prefer the post-apocalyptic setting to the Dungeons and Dragons or whatever you want to call it setting. So sorry, Skyrim fans. Thanks everyone that wrote in and played along as always. Dude, what have I been playing over the last week? A ton. I don't know why, but I have just been on this binge where I'm like, I get 5 minutes of downtime. I'm fucking playing a video game. It is all I've done for the better part of 7 days. I finished Animal Well, indie Metroidvania from this year. Absolutely superb. Very tough. It's not baby's first Metroidvania. That is a fucking confusing game. But I loved it. As I mentioned, I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and really enjoying it. I've been playing Inscription, which is this indie game from a few years ago, and it's a card battler, a little bit like Slay the Spire, and it's a couple of you have suggested it to me. I'm really enjoying it on Game Pass as well. And then I've gone back to Dave the Diver, which I'd like to finish and just knock off my backlog. And then for the show, I've also been playing some F-Zero X on the Nintendo 64, some Castlevania 3 on the NES, and some Sly Cooper 2. Perhaps teases of some future episodes of the show. And then I'm still playing NHL 25 as well. It's like all I've done. Just been a lazy fuck, just sitting around getting chubby and playing video games. Living my best life over here. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pause. We're going to let a sponsor in. They're going to do their thing. And then when we get back, it's all about Mass Effect 3, okay? We will be right back after this. We've had some great partners over the years here at Remember the Game, but I don't know if any of them have hit home for me quite like Hometown Hero does. No pun intended. Don't start. It's a transparent, honest cannabis company that helps people and gives back to those that have served their country at the same time. I mean, come on. As soon as I read about these guys, I knew I wanted to work with them. Hometown Hero is a cannabis company out of Austin, Texas, and they were founded back in 2015 by a U.S. veteran. They have two goals: create premium hemp products that can help everyone, and to support veterans by donating a portion of those profits to organizations set up to take care of those who have served. Hometown Hero products are of the highest quality, and everything they offer is made right there in the U.S. of A. Gummies, caramels, chocolates, drink mix. There's something for everyone. And what's more, their hemp is grown locally in Texas, which is something they should and do take a lot of pride in. And they offer certificates of analysis for everything they sell because they want to be clear that their products are as advertised, both in terms of potency and ingredients. No contaminants, you get what you pay for. Just how they conduct business is enough to get my good eyes' attention. But when you circle back to the fact that the company was founded by a veteran and they put such heavy emphasis on supporting veterans, this isn't just lip service. I'm not reading a script I was given here. I'm proud to have Hometown Hero associated with Remember the Game. Reclaim your evening. Visit hometownhero.com and use code RTG to take 20% off your first purchase. That's hometownhero.com, code RTG for 20% off your first purchase. This is an ad by BetterHelp. A band once said, "Work sucks, I know." And I think most people agree with them. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress from their jobs. And while walking away from your job might not be an option, taking a little time every day to focus on yourself and your mental health can make a huge difference. I know in the summer I try to get outside every day, get a little bit of sun, and just enjoy the outdoors. It really helps. At least until my allergies attack, and then it's ugly. It's important to take steps to combat work stress, and therapy can be a huge one. It's not just for overcoming trauma. Therapy can help you define work goals, set some work boundaries, develop coping skills. It's like a cheat code for life. And if you're thinking, man, I'm too busy for therapy, well, look into BetterHelp. They make therapy as convenient as possible. You can meet with one of their over 30,000 therapists online and on your schedule, just like over 5 million people around the world already have done. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/rememberthegame. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. All right, let's talk some Mass Effect 3. As always, I like to let you nerds sound off on the game we're covering before my guest and I hog the microphone, and we had no shortage of comments this week. People love their Mass Effect. So let's get into these things. Shifty-looking Thane said, "I just want to say that I absolutely love this game. Your name checks out, Thane." I love Thane. Good name. A+ name, gold star. Sir Teacups said, "This game and series mean more to me than most know. During low and lonely times in my life, the crew on the Normandy were a loyal group of friends I could always turn to. I love these characters so much, I even named my daughter after our favorite Quarian queen. Well, Mass Effect 2 is the GOAT. Pardon me. Mass Effect 3 has the best action elements in the series, some of the most heart-wrenching moments, and while the ending does leave a lot to be desired, I'm never more happy than when I'm busting Reapers with Shep and the crew. Also, shout out to the Citadel DLC for being the best DLC ever." That shocks me, Sir Teacups, because as you're about to hear, I don't hate the Citadel DLC. I thought it was the weakest. So that's Fascinating take. Fascinating. Chris wrote in and said, love the whole series. 3 is the best in the series, taking the best parts of its predecessors and adding to them. The payoffs, the sense of urgency, Citadel DLC excluded. The crew, all DLCs matter and add to the core game. One of those games that you finish and say, now what do I do with my life? Buddy, you're right. Especially if you play all 3 of them back to back. That's like 4 months of your life. And then I don't know what you do. You go outside and realize that you've wasted 4 months. But it's not a waste because these games are awesome. Gerg Schlongmelon, love that name, said, I was late to the Mass Effect party, but I love them like they're my children. I played all 3 of them back to back to back. I don't view them as individual games. I'll always play all of them when I want to do a run. Mass Effect 3 was such a tense and heartfelt end to this amazing story. I know it had its controversy around the endings and with its gradual fade into action adventure and less RPG, but it's okay. I don't always need a grind. I think this game is a perfect end to a perfect series. Also, can we talk about the scene near the end when all of the... I don't want to spoil anything. Oh, no, I think we're good. Also, can we talk about the scene near the end when all the fleets are checking in to fight the big bad guys and your hard work is finally coming to fruition? And the Destiny Ascension just being all badass. Dope. There is no Shepard without Vicarian. And for the record, if I say any names wrong, like I haven't played this game in a couple of months now. So, and I'm known to say names wrong. And if you're wondering why I didn't say who the big baddie at the end of the trilogy was, I did say I wouldn't do any spoilers until we actually got into the game talk. So I just don't want to ruin anything too crazy. And Skywomp said so many highs and lows. Had to be me. Someone else might have gotten it wrong. Is absolutely peak storytelling and a perfect character resolution. I agree. Then the multicolored choices at the end felt like such a betrayal by the devs. Oh, and Marauder Shields? Marauder? I know what you're talking about, but I don't know how to say it. So anyways, I agree. Guys, I could have kept reading comments, but we're at the 30-minute mark. I want to get into Mass Effect 3. I know that's why you're here. I'm excited. You're excited. The world's excited. This game kicks ass. This franchise kicks ass. And I pray to the gaming gods that this episode wills a good new Mass Effect game into existence. We know BioWare is working on one, and let's all just cross our fingers, eyes, toes, and private parts that they get it right. Give us more Mass Effect. But let's talk about the end of the original trilogy right now with my boy Ian. I'm going to cue up some music. And when it stops, we are going to talk Mass Effect 3 and the Mass Effect trilogy. Spoilers everywhere. It originally released on the PC, PS3, and on PC, PS3, and Xbox 360 on March 6, 2012. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. All right, so joining me via the blank phone this week, special guest, special episode, probably the longest an episode of Remember the Game has ever been in the oven in the 6.5 years that we've done this show. Joining me this week is my boy Ian. Ian, how are you, my friend? What's going on?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just like you said, I'm excited to get this out of the way. I think it's probably been about a year in the making now by the time this thing airs. So
yes, I have not. As of the time Ian and I are doing this chat, I haven't yet recorded the infamous intro. So I'm assuming I'll have mentioned it in there. But Ian was one of the 2 high bidders on our 2023 24-hour Extra Life stream to raise money for the Stollery Children's Hospital. Every year I auction off a chance to be my guest here on the show. I don't take a cut. The proceeds go to the Stollery. I don't touch them. I don't want to handle the money because I don't need that on my hands. Anyways, and Ian was one of our 2 bidders and everything was cool. And then Ian said he'd like to do Mass Effect 3. And I said, fuck yeah. I've been wanting to replay this ever since I replayed Mass Effect 2 a couple years ago. And that was literally 12 months ago. And we're finally doing this. And I swear it's not professionalism on my part of like, that would make great marketing for the 24-hour stream to do this episode the week we're doing the 24-hour stream. It just took us this long to get it done because I'm a busy guy. Ian's got a real job. He's even busier than me. And Ian, Mass Effect 3 is not a game you play in a weekend to get ready for a show. This is an undertaking, this fucking game, man. Oh,
no,
Jesus.
Man. Like it took me 90 hours to play through Mass Effect 2 and 3. Leading up to this show, and legit, like as a person with a full-time job and my own shit going on, it's like, dude, this took me 4 months.
Yeah,
alone.
I feel like you and I were messaging back and forth in the summer And I think you were the first one to be like, honestly, dude, I don't even think I'm going to be ready until the fall. And I was
Yeah,
like, oh, that's thank fuck. Because I was like, because neither have
dude.
I.
If you
Uh,
if you go
holy fuck.
back in like our DMs, like it's just hilarious because you just see like multiple conversations. We probably had 10 conversations just going like, hey, like I'm shooting for April, and then it's like, okay, May comes along, and we're like, hey, like I think it works better if we just delay this because it's so long and we
Yeah.
just do not have the time to do this.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I already mentioned in the infamous intro, we're spoiling. We're gonna get into this. It's impossible to talk, especially the end of the Mass Effect trilogy, without spoiling. And I'll probably warn everybody, we're gonna we're not gonna get into a ton of detail about Mass Effect 1 and 2, but this really is one of those IPs and one of these franchises where your decisions. I know a lot of game developers are like, your decisions are gonna matter, and then they don't fucking matter. Your decisions in Mass Effect fucking matter, and your decisions from Mass Effect 1 matter in Mass Effect 3. It really is brilliant. So if you're listening to this episode and this motivates you to get out there and play the Mass Effect games, fuck yeah, welcome to the team. But please know, and I'm curious if you're going to disagree with me on this, at bare minimum, play Mass Effect 2 before you play Mass Effect 3. And I can't recommend strongly enough that you just do the trilogy. Like spend 30, 40
100%.
hours per game and then take a break and then come back. It's fine. But like, you really don't get the full Mass Effect 3 experience if you don't play all three of these things.
No. You
It's
actually get like
wild.
a pretty doomed like save state if you don't carry over your save data and you just
Yeah.
like I know that did you I guess this is a good way to start off. Did you carry over your save data? Because I know you popped in with the Legendary Edition.
Yeah, so this time when I replayed Mass Effect 2 for the show a couple years ago, I played it on my Xbox and my old saves, because that's where I played Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 back in the 360 days. All my saves were there, so my saves carried over. This time I went with the Legendary Edition, A, because I wanted to see what the difference was, and B, because I wanted to play it on my Steam Deck, because it was pretty solid on the Steamer, by the way. It was a nice handheld game. But
Nice.
I wasn't able to transfer my save files over. And so when you fire up Mass Effect 3 without your saves, you get to make a few pretty critical decisions, like tell them what
Okay.
you decided off the top. And I was able to, for the most part, move my, like you're able to pick who did you save in Mass Effect 1? What did you do with the cure to the genophage? Like that kind of stuff. And I was
Yeah.
able to transfer most of the critical decisions over, but it wasn't the same. Like it really hits harder when it's just the same Shepard you've been playing with for 3 games. It's really spectacular that way.
Yeah.
Because I assume you did have your save file moved over.
Oh yeah. Like I played through Mass Effect 1 on the Legendary Edition when it first came out. And then that
Sure.
was like 3-4 years ago, however fucking long it was when that came out. And
Mm-hmm.
so, when we knew that we were doing this podcast, I was like, okay, I'll play Mass Effect 2 and 3. So Mass Effect 2 is the only other one that's really fresh in my mind.
Okay.
But I did have the same character that, I carried over from all 3 games. And for sure, like, I basically 100%ed all 3 of these games for the first time, like, ever. I've never done that where I've done, like, every side quest, every DLC. There's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff, a lot of DLCs I'd never played doing this playthrough. And I gotta say, like, it took me 132 hours. It says now on my PS5 home screen, like 132 hours, man. Like, that's when you do it to that extent, like it gives you such a great feeling of satisfaction when it's all said and done. Like
Yeah.
unlike any
Absolutely.
other game series.
Well, and it's funny because like we're gonna start with a couple of because we both have some. I know you said you have some. I know I have a couple of criticisms of this game. A couple.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure I make this abundantly clear before y'all start listening to the show and you're like, holy fuck, this guy's just talking about the shit he doesn't like about Mass Effect 3. Everybody knows that I'm very middle of the road when it comes to RPGs, and I very rarely play DLC. I played all the DLC for Mass Effect 3. I've played Mass Effect 2 twice, Mass Effect 3 twice, and Mass Effect 1 once. All in. That's got to be 100 and that's got to be coming up on 200
That's like
hours
almost
of Mass
200
Effect.
hours. Yeah.
That's a testament to how brilliant I think this game trilogy is. Like I have no
100%.
regrets. Honestly, I'm glad I bought the Legendary Edition because I think down the road I'm going to get a hankering to do a full playthrough of all 3 of them again, just because I love these games so much. So don't take a couple of negatives as like, wow, Mass Effect's not that great. Mass Effect is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's first of all, before we even get into the negatives, I'm just curious, how would you rank them? Like, what is your order 3, 2, 1? Like best to worst?
Dude, this is a tough one. Like it's almost like what mood I'm in.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
You
know.
know? Like when I think about it, I think objectively 2 is like the tightest
Yeah,
in terms of delivery of everything and balancing of everything, but 3 is a very hard contender for me, especially with this recent playthrough. I think, and honestly, even 1, I really like 1. So, but I think having played 2 and 3 recently, I would put it 3 is number 1, 2 is number 2, 1 is number 3.
sure.
Yeah.
I've always been a 2-3-1 guy because 2 has always been my favorite. But replaying this one, it's much closer than I thought. I do think I still like 2 a little bit better, but it is
It's close.
when 3 first came out, people shit all over the ending.
Hmm.
And obviously we have to get into that. I can't stress this enough, everybody. Spoilers. And thank you for downloading the episode. Thank you for listening. And if you haven't played these games yet and you don't care about spoilers, I hope you enjoy this episode. But if you're like, I really want to play these games, you'll probably never hear me say these words on the podcast again. I really would recommend just stopping now and come back. We have 300 and by the time this episode goes live, there's like 315 something other episodes. Come back after you play these. Don't let these games get spoiled for you before you play them, because
100%.
just don't do that. All right. So this is your final warning. We're spoiling everything. Let's start. Okay, let's start with the negatives. And I want to say I still don't love the ending of this trilogy, but I don't
Yeah.
hate it as much now as I did when it came out.
Yeah. Completely agree.
It just I don't know how to, like, if this was an ending of like 9 out of 10 other games, I'd be like, that's a good ending to a good game. But I just feel like the bar with Mass Effect and the trilogy and the hundreds of hours you put into it was so high that it just, the idea, like, I don't mind the explanation of the ending, but the idea that it boiled down to like make a good pick, a bad pick, or a neutral pick, I felt that. And then what we got afterwards, I wanted a little more. A little
Yeah.
more. Am I wrong? Like a little
I
more.
you know what? I think in terms of like the reason as to why the Reapers are here and what they do, like when the original ending came out, there was like no explanation as to why the Reapers were doing what they were doing. It felt super heavy-fisted. I
Sure.
think that's totally way better now with the extended cut and the Leviathan DLC. It explains things so much better. So I actually think, with the current day and age, the whole, synthetics versus organic storyline, like it's aged really well. I think it's super plausible. I think it's
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's great. I have no problems with that. But I think the biggest problem with the ending is that it feels very rushed, and that is 100% EA's fault for making. They made this game in 22 months.
Yeah,
That
that's
was the
wild.
development cycle between Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, and they didn't even have the full crew until like 18 months like into
Yeah.
development. Like it was
It's nuts.
crazy.
Like I get they had to strike while the Mass Effect 2 iron was hot. Cause
Yeah,
like if you weren't playing Mass Effect when Mass Effect 2 came out, it was
it was
that was
huge.
that was like I'm talking like Halo 3 levels of, oh my god, it was insane. So I
Yeah,
get they had to rush out the third one. And I don't feel like the game itself feels all that rushed for the most part, a couple of minor things, but I do
no,
agree. The ending, it just felt like it was like build up, build up, build up, build up, and then it just felt like
kind of
fucking 10
falls a bit
minutes and it
flat.
was over.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
there
So
there are some great things about the ending, like your last talks with all your squad mates right before the final battle.
agreed.
Like I think that's really great. But dude, we like barely get to see any of the other races like fighting alongside you guys. Like there's returning characters in here. Like we got Jack, Miranda, Grunts, Samara, like all these people that helped you along the way that you don't get to see like at all in terms of like them fighting. I would have loved a montage of them fighting alongside each other, helping Shepard get to like, the main fucking teleportation thing that sends you up to the Citadel, like there's
Yes,
just
yes.
like none of that,
Yeah, I
like
agree with that.
it
Like,
just
because like that last fight when you're going through and like you said, it's really great. Like you run into like Rex and you run into like Jack is probably my favorite Mass Effect character. Like I adore Jack.
oh
So it
dude,
was so rad to
she's
see
great.
her and everything. Like that was all well and good. But I agree. Like I it would have been really cool if in that last half hour, 45 minutes or so, when you're going through and you're trying to get to that laser beam. Like, I think it would have been really neat if they had put in little segments where even for 5 minutes, it's like, oh, for this 5 minutes, you're going to have Tally and Jack on your team. And then for the next 5 minutes, you're going to have, dude, imagine if you had Rex and Grunt on your team for like 5
I know,
minutes,
man.
like the Bash brothers. And you just, like, it would have been really cool if even if you didn't have a ton to do with them, but just give you a couple minutes of fighting alongside each person you had that survived. Because you're right, it just felt like it. I always use this stupid analogy that like games are like a pie and how much of the pie is put on the graphics and sound and shit. And it just feels like they made this phenomenal game and then they had like 2% left to spend on the ending.
Yeah.
And they told the story, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more sizzle on the steak. That's all.
This ending was made in the last like month or so of development, and there was only like 2 or 3 lead developers that worked on this thing. They basically just like mashed it all together, and like you can even see it in like the combat design. Like I actually really do like the combat in the last little hour or so of the game. They send you fucking like all these Reaper troops and shit like that. The environment's really cool, like being on this like war torn fucking Earth. Like
I
think
love
that's
that. Fighting
I
on
love
Earth
that.
was a great way to end it. I agree with
It's so cool. It's so great that we never get to be on Earth like the entire trilogy, and then finally, like for the last little push, you get to go on Earth and fight with Anderson and shit. Like I thought that was all great, but it is clear and it is true actually that this was very much like a fucking rolled up, with duct tape type of ending. And it went through very little screening by the other developers because they're under such a heavy time crunch, which makes me think like, what would we have gotten had EA just not fucking forced BioWare to put this all out in like less than 2 years? What if we had like 3-4 years of development time for this thing? This could have been like easily. This could have been seriously one of the greatest games. I still think it's one of the greatest games ever made, but this could have been like monumental, like potentially top 10 fucking game ever made type, category. Whereas I feel like nowadays people barely even talk about Mass Effect 3. A lot of people, the legacy of Mass Effect 3 is really just soured by the ending, which is really unfortunate because this is seriously a contender for the best in the series.
I'll agree with that. And I will say for all of you listening that maybe did sour on the ending, I'm one of you. The when I finished it, I remember putting the controller down and just being like, it was all right. Like I wanted more. Replaying it this time through, I enjoyed myself substantially more. And the ending was, I still don't love it, but the ending was good. It was passable. My biggest problem with the ending is I just don't like how simple it, like, I felt for such a complicated game and series, I felt like they were just like, if you want to go bad, pick red. If you want to go good, pick blue. And if you want to stay neutral, go green. And I get that has been for 3 games what they are. I understand that, but it just felt, I don't know. That felt so cheesy to me that you're just like that this AI or whatever the fuck that kid is, like, just created these 3 shoots and was like, go pick the good, the bad, or the, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I think it doesn't help that all 3 of those endings are basically just like the same ending, but just color coded over. Like,
and that's my other beef with the ending. And you kind of touched on it a little bit. I was a little disappointed that it was just kind of like these little slideshows, like interchangeable slideshows.
Slideshows weren't even part of the original game. Like,
I know, isn't that crazy?
That was put in as like a last minute extended cut. Basically the BioWare developers being like, we're so sorry, we care, and which is major shout out to them. They're like, you know what, this is fucking, we're upset with the ending too, and we need to do something to at least alleviate that. But yeah, 100%, if you've like never played through this trilogy and you don't know the story behind why there's the slideshows at the ending, you're sitting there and you're like, why the fuck am I getting a slideshow? Like, this is so fucking strange.
Like, in limited defense of them, well, I don't love the slideshow thing. Like, there are so many options and so many characters that can die or can live, and it depends on like what races are helping you and like what have you done with them and everything. I get that, like, to make an actual like cinematic for everything would have been almost impossible. Like, there would have been so much. Like, I get it, but it just doesn't. It does the job, but it's like it could have done the job a little. I don't want to. I don't. It's fine. I give if I'm ranking just the ending, I give the ending like a 7.5 out of 10. Like it's fine, but
Yeah.
and I think part of the problem is not to go back to it, but the ending of like that final mission in Mass Effect 2 is maybe the greatest hour in the history of video games. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that mission so much, and I would have liked something like that in Mass Effect 3. Maybe that's
Yeah.
what I'm waiting on. And again, that goes back to being able to use your whole team or whatever the fuck. So, anyways,
Yeah. Yeah. I
it's fun.
again, like we had to follow up Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 3 had to follow up Mass Effect 2, and I think a lot of us were expecting another ending that was similar to like the suicide mission, which I don't think is a crazy big ass since they fucking did it.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, I
Like,
agreed. Agreed.
so I think honestly, I would have probably made this ending like a 9 out of 10. Like I totally agree with 7.5 out of 10. Like it's good, but could have been way better. Like
Yeah. It was
this ending honestly would have been probably a 9 out of 10 had we just had the involvement of all of our previous squad mates helping us in that final push. Like I
yeah.
think that one change would have made this thing like a 9 out of 10 ending, and
Agreed. And you
would
know
have.
what? It even could have just been like I'm not. I would have been fine with like a cinematic, even if I didn't play as them. You know that part where you're just trying like where Shepard's all beat up and he's just trying to walk to that teleporter thing.
Yeah.
Even if it had just been that, and then like oh, and then like a bunch of husks come running at you, and then like oh here comes Rex and he just fought them off for you, and then
Yeah.
it's like oh here comes like a tank's falling on you, and then it gets blasted away and
Samara.
it's
Yeah.
Jack off to the side. Yeah, something even just that, like
Yeah.
one last I don't know. We're at 18 minutes and all we've talked about is the fucking
See
ending.
fucking ending. Yeah.
So okay, outside of the ending, which is okay, what because I have two major. What don't you like about this game? There's two things that I that are on my mind. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So
What don't you like?
the one thing I have that isn't related to like the main quest is the quest log for this game is fucking atrocious.
Agreed.
Like
That was one of mine as well.
literally amateur level atrocious. Like, and this blends into the other little criticism that I have, which is the Citadel side quests are easily the weakest they've been in the entire series in this game.
Yeah.
And they're like integral to your war assets. So you're kind of forced. Like I had the destroy ending where Shepard lived. In order to get that, you need like 8,000 war assets. So
Yeah.
I 100%ed this game. And if you want to 100% this game, you basically have to use a guide for these Citadel side quests where you have to like go and fetch shit like in the other planets, because the quest log, first of all, it doesn't separate main quest and side quest, which immediately like what the fuck.
Yeah.
And then
Agreed.
on top of that, the descriptions aren't even good. Like they don't even tell you what fucking planet to go to and what star system to go to in some of these situations. Like you literally have to look it up, because I am not spending an hour going through every fucking star system trying to figure out where the goddamn Elcor homeworld is.
Agreed. And that was one of the things that pissed me off too. There are some great side quests in this game. Like Mass Effect can tell a phenomenal story, but there, especially in Mass Effect 3, I agree. It feels like 50% of them are just a random person on the Citadel being like, "Hey, I really need a book from this place to make my team feel better about their reading." And then it's like I'm in
Yeah.
outer space and I have to just pick every galaxy and go in and do the scans on every planet to try to find this book. And then when I find it, it doesn't even update the mission in my log to let me know, hey, you found this book, take it back to this person. So every time I went back to the Citadel, I was going to like every person just seeing if I had what they need. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I agree. And quite frankly, I thought they were lazy. Those ones were lazy. As great as some of them are, those fetch quests are just random and lazy and not particularly enjoyable at all. I agree 100%. I finally gave
Yeah.
up. I think I had like 4 left and I was like, I'm done. I
Yeah.
don't care anymore. I have more than enough resources to save the planet, the galaxy. I don't need you to find your book. Go fist yourself. I don't fucking care. So
Yeah.
agreed. Fucking
There
totally
are
nuts.
there are some too that like expire, and like there was one with like when you do the Chichanka mission, like it expires, and unless you like looked up a guide, there is no indication that this fucking Citadel side mission is going to expire if you do the Tuchanka mission,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
then all of a sudden it expires. Like I said, I 100% at all 3 of these games. I really 95% of this game because there are some side quests that I fucking missed because there's a timer on them, and there
Yeah.
was no way for me to know.
And
So
if you have like OCD and you need to get 100% and you don't want to look up a guide, like this game might drive you crazy. Like
yeah,
there,
oh
because
yeah,
I agree. Like it just for a game that's so polished and so well done, those side quests are really,
yeah.
frankly, half-assed.
It's
Yeah,
inexcusable. Now,
agreed.
the side quests that are actual proper like side quests where you go and you fucking like defuse a Turian bomb on Tuchanka,
Yes,
and you go to like this alliance fucking training for biotics, and Jack shows up and she's the instructor, and Grunt is, you know, leading his own company fighting fucking Rachni. Like those side quests are great, like almost on the
fantastic.
same level as like main quests. But
Agreed. And you should do all of them. All of
a
them.
hundred
If it gives
percent,
you a side quest that's like not a stupid fetch quest, go do it because they're spectacular. But I think they make the fetch quests look even worse
yeah,
because half of
literally,
them are just they're like their own game, and then half of them are just garbage.
yeah.
So agreed.
Um,
That was one of
other
the two things I had written down as well. Go ahead. What else have you got?
other criticism is, I guess, Cerberus is a bit of a criticism for me. Like, I
Really?
don't, just a little bit. It's not, it's kind of nitpicky, but I feel like Cerberus, like, there's like basically three main plot lines in this story that are part of the main quest. You have your Genophage, you know, main quest. You have your Geth and Quarian main quest, and those two give you so much agency in terms of how you interact with the game. You know, like you have these storylines that are built up throughout the entire game, and then Cerberus, it kind of, you're almost like kind of confused, like because Cerberus in the second game is like a very sort of, it's a very gray area what Cerberus is doing, because they're the ones actually helping humanity, but then you have the Elusive Man who's kind of fucked up, and you know,
Like Shepard is literally dead without them. Like they're
yeah,
the reason the game even exists. I like in part 2 until the end they come across as kind of like a anti-hero to me.
yeah,
And then
totally.
in part 3
There's
they
bad
just seem
guys.
like bad
Like
guys.
they're
Yeah.
just, they want to take the Citadel for some reason, and you know,
Yeah.
like it's just it feels a little bit disjointed. It's kind of a minor criticism because, you know, I think it kind of redeems itself a bit in the end, because you realize that the Elusive Man's like implanted fucking Reaper technology into himself, and he's like indoctrinated.
Yeah.
But you know, it still feels a little bit weird. It doesn't really give much explanation. Plus, Kai Lang is, fuck that guy.
Yeah, Kai Lang sucks.
He sucks.
He feels like I don't know, it just when you've seen like a superhero has like a trilogy of movies, and then in the third one there's just this like stupid shit character that's introduced to try to make it seem like there's more of a threat than there is to the
Yeah,
hero. That's what Kai Lang feels like. I was like, we don't know anything about
he
you. Fuck off. You suck.
he doesn't
You're
feel like a real
you try
threat.
hard. No,
Like
he
who
no.
who plays Mass Effect 3 and looks at Kai Lang when you have the Reaper War and the Elusive Man and all this shit, and you say to yourself, "Oh yeah, this is interesting. I really want to see what happens with this." Like, of course Shepard's gonna fucking kill him, and he's not interesting. His dialogue sucks. Like
Yeah,
the only
agreed.
thing that he does that makes him feel somewhat important is that he kills one of the best squad mates like in our entire game. But he was
Yes.
gonna fucking die anyway, so like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
I,
I
I don't
agree.
know.
But that said, I don't hate Cerberus. What bothers me a little bit, and I get they need to have this story in the game because otherwise the game doesn't work. But it's like, so I played a pretty rebel playthrough. Like I usually do that in games, but because I was genuinely getting irritated because we're going to all these races and being like, hey guys, the entire galaxy is fucked if we don't stop these Reapers. And these galaxy and these fucking species are like, well, 200 years ago they fucking we gave them a plate of blitzes to paint our fence, and they never did it, and we still hate them for it now. And it's like, okay, well, you understand there won't be a fucking race for you to feud with if we don't all shut the fuck up and deal with the like that. And so that was where I almost liked Cerberus, because I was like, at least there's something everyone on the galaxy can get on board with, and being like, why are these fucking guys sucking the Reaper's dicks? Like, let's stop them. But the
Yeah.
constant going to these, but at the same time, some of the best missions in the game are trying to bury the hatchet between two races. So I understood why it was there. It just irritated me that I was like, do you not see there are bigger problems right now than the fact that you don't like that you can't have babies anymore because of them or whatever,
Yeah.
insert whatever problem here. But
Yeah,
that's
it's
like, that's my counter to Cerberus. At least Cerberus was like the one constant where it was like, everybody knows they're bad. You know what
and
I mean?
that's
Like,
a fair point. Like
but
at the end of
fair
the
enough.
day, it's fucking, it is, uh, it makes sense for like in terms of the mechanics of the game and shit, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like it is fucking weird that Shepard's the only person that sees like, hey, if we don't like, you know, get past our differences a little bit, like we're all fucked,
Yeah.
you know?
It's
Like
like if four people were trapped in like a burning building And they were like, well, we're not working together. I fucking hate Steve. He's the worst neighbor I ever heard. And it's like, well, if we don't all get out of this building, we're all gonna. It's like that, but on a literal galactic scale of like we all kind of need to. But I don't even want to make that a complaint because I do understand that like with like it would have been a pretty lame game if 10 minutes in everybody was like holding hands.
Yeah, we're all together. Let's fucking go. And then
right. So like, I get it, but that's why I went the angry playthrough because I was like, I'm not gonna be diplomatic here. And fucking hold your hand. Because in reality, I'd be losing my fucking mind. And just being like, shut the fuck up.
Totally.
All right,
what's yours?
Fascinating. I gotta say, and I didn't even, so everyone knows I don't play DLC. So when I played Mass Effect 3 the first time through, I didn't buy any of the DLC. I just played the game. And you were one of a few that were like, buddy, you need to play the DLC for Mass Effect 3. And so when I bought the Legendary Edition, I didn't read what any of the DLC was. I just bought it and was like, I'm just going to play through the game and see. And the fact, this is going to cost this game at least a point when I fucking scale it, unless I'm wrong, and I don't think I am. The fact that you took, without question, the coolest character since fucking Legion, and that would be Javik, a motherfucking Promethean, the very, like, the ancient race that fought the Reapers that all these games are based around and everything. And there's one that's a playable fucking character that could join your team, that can interact with your team, and you can ask him about the past and learn about the past and everything. And the fact that you made that DLC, and the fact that you made it DLC the day the game released, you put the coolest character behind a DLC paywall if that's not EA, then what the fuck is? Dude. That just the most? And the thing is, dude, I was halfway through the game before I decided to look and be like, what is the DLC here? And then when I saw, because I didn't remember Javik from the first game, but I was like, he must have been there. And then when I fucking read that, no, he wasn't in it the first time I played it because I didn't buy any DLC, I was furious. Yeah. What the fuck is that, buddy? Fuck you.
Absolutely inexcusable level incompetency and just total fuck you. Like, this was a $60 game when this came out in the US, $80 for us, and then you had to pay $10 on top of that just to get what is quite possibly the most important squad mate in all of, like, in terms of the Mass Effect and Reapers and everything having to do with the overarching story. Like, I never played with Javik my first playthrough as well. Like, he gives so much context to the ending in terms of how synthetics and organics fucking work with each other. Like, he is super fucking important. Plus, he just is a cool character.
He's awesome.
He gives so much extra dialogue. When you take him to Thessia on the Liara mission, I don't know if you did that.
I did.
Yeah, like, he is literally essential to bring to Thessia because he basically just shits on Liara's people's like entire ancient religion. Is like, yeah, that wasn't the goddess Athena or whatever the fuck. That was actually a Prothean that taught you guys how to fucking read and, you know, how to not fucking like use sticks, you know, and basically we brought you out of the dark ages, so fuck you, you know.
Yeah,
like
that was the coolest thing about him, was hearing like, in my time this species was this. Yeah. And like, but now they're like this and and then like the fact that they're going to him and being like, dude, you're the only one in the fucking galaxy that has fought these Reapers before. Like, what do we do? And even if he doesn't know, just having him there was like the coolest thing. If you wanted to put Jack or fucking insert a character from Mass Effect 1 or 2 in his DLC that you could get back into your team, that still would have pissed me off. But I understand that DLC is unfortunately a necessary evil in gaming, and I get that it's there, and I guess I could have been like, okay, whatever. But to take this character, and they put so much work into him, you could take him on any mission, and he interacts with whoever's there. Like, he fits into the, like, it feels like the game was developed with him in the game, and then at the last minute they were like, you know, we could make an extra $10 if we fucking just right click save as DLC this guy. Like, it's just complete. It's fucking, and I gotta say, that kind of ties into the fact that I'm not that impressed with your party in this game, period. James, or whatever his name is, fucking sucks. That's the worst character in Mass Effect. I hate that fucking guy.
Yeah.
And like, sure, it's like, it's great that, like, you know, Garrus is back and Liara's there, and Edie. I think Edie is kind of a cool play. I didn't use her very much, but it's kind of a cool character. Like, that's fine. But that you would take, like, hands down the coolest character, maybe in any of the 3 games, and make a DLC day one, Ian. That's what really pisses me off. Day
Yeah,
one.
that's
Fuck
crazy.
you.
Like,
Like,
and I
fuck.
will say, I'm somewhat glad that at least now in this day's current, you know, gaming market, there are certain things that are inexcusable. That is fucking inexcusable. And the
Yeah.
reason why it's inexcusable is because people were fucking pissed about this. And it was really the first time they'd ever done something like this.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why. Basically, to this day, no other major AAA game has done this because, and unfortunately, Mass Effect 3 was the sacrificial lamb for that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Asinine. I have been waiting to rant about that for like 2 months.
oh
Fucking
man,
imagine if when
it's
Mario Odyssey 2 comes out, Luigi is DLC. And I know they've done that before, but imagine if it's day one.
yeah,
Day one. Like that's the pro. If you want to listen, if they had released Javik like a year later, I I I still might have been a little bit upset, but I would have been like, okay, well maybe it wasn't ready for the time of the launch. Like, I
yeah,
could have rationalized it in my head, but day one DLC has no place in gaming. Especially
100%.
not when it's this big.
Oh yeah,
Fucking
yeah,
fuck. That said, if you've never played these games and you're going to get the legendary edition and get Javik and use him because he is the fucking coolest character. Like he's a
totally.
motherfucking Promethean. He's like the coolest shit. I fucking love that guy so much.
Yeah.
Those are my
Um,
biggest complaints. I think I'm good. Have you got anything else before we shift to good? Because there's lots
no,
of good.
no, I think
Okay.
that's pretty much it. Yeah,
Then I have
yeah, we
one.
can talk
Okay,
about
I have
everything
one
else.
last negative. Everybody, I'm gonna let a sponsor in here. I know everyone's like ads. I know. Just fucking do your thing. We'll be back in like 90 seconds, and then we're just gonna blow smoke up Mass Effect's ass for like whatever amount. We'll be right back. Okay. All right. And I gotta say, man, I think Ian, it says something about how good this game is when even during the negatives, we were like, hey, this is all great. This was what was wrong with it. Like there
Yeah,
was no just straight up, this fucking sucks.
yeah,
Like the only thing that sucks about this game is the EA being greasy pieces of shit.
pretty much.
Uh,
Like, if
Everything
it
else is
weren't for
great.
EA, this would be like, imagine how much better this game would be. Is really the main criticism we have,
Yeah, agreed.
basically. Um,
No,
yeah,
I think number one for me, the biggest thing with the Mass Effect games are like, I don't hate the combat, and we can get into that. I think the combat is very like it kind of feels like I mean, I know it's about the same era, so I don't know which one actually came out first, but it's a little Gears of War-y, like you're hiding
yeah.
behind stuff and shooting enemies, and you have special powers and grenades and that kind of shit. The combat
Especially
is
this third
fine.
one.
Yeah, the combat was much better in this one. This is the best combat in the trilogy.
Easily the
But
best combat.
for me, I think like what really hooks me with the Mass Effect games are like they tell a fucking story, man.
Totally.
And this one, like there is not a franchise out there that I think would make a better like TV series on paper at least than Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Because over 3 games you get to meet all these characters and you get to learn about all these races, and I think it's just I know it's such a simple concept to make you play as the human, but like it really is brilliant for it to be like, hey, this is set 100 some years from now. It's way off in the future. You're representing humanity. You're going to go meet all these alien races. You get to interact with them. You get to build alliances with them and everything like that. And I think everybody at some point dreams about being the one that saves the world and stuff. And getting to do it in this, like it just like Commander Shepard. I've never played as the female Shepard, but the male Shepard, like and I'm sure the female is great as well. They're such for such a generic character that you see the game like through their eyes. They're so well done. Like
Um,
their leadership abilities and everything just hit the mark so well. Their dialogue, everything. You know what I mean?
well, and I will say, like, this game, Mass Effect 3, this is the best we've ever seen in terms of fleshing out Shepard as a character. Like, Mass Effect 1, Shepard is kind of like a blank slate, and that's obviously intentional, you
Sure.
know? And then Mass Effect 2, you start to develop some more things like, there's more choices in terms of Paragon and Renegade, especially with the loyalty missions and how you interact with your squad mates and stuff. But in Mass Effect 3, like Shepard is really struggling in this game, like he's dealing with fucking big decisions and he's confiding in other characters, which he's never done before,
Yeah.
like he'll confide in Garrus and be like, am I making the right decision on this thing? Like, and he's confiding in Anderson too.
Yeah.
And I don't. entirely love the dream sequences, but like, he's struggling, and that's
Yeah.
really something that we had never really seen in this series. This is easily the best Shepard that we've seen,
Yeah.
for sure.
They really do a phenomenal job of painting. Like when you're I know it's like a fictional video game, but when you're playing it, like if this was a real situation and this guy Shepard or girl, whatever, this Shepard
Yeah.
has the weight of the entire galaxy on his shoulders. Like it's on him to go out there, unite these things, find uh the fucking weapon that I'm suddenly
Oh,
blanking
the
on. It starts with a
Crucible
C. The
Catalyst.
Crucible, like everything is on you, everything, and just that I think is really well done. Some of the decisions you have to make in all these games, but particularly in Mass Effect 3, are so well like there. I as someone that was just genuinely picking the renegade decision on almost everything because I like to play that way. There were
Yeah.
multiple decisions in this game where I genuinely had to like stop for a minute. I had to fight the urge to Google what happens if I pick A or B
Yeah.
because the decisions are so well laid out in this game. And the
Well,
idea that you have to make them like in the midst of a battle on like a split decision is just mind boggling to me.
yeah,
They're
man.
so well done.
This is probably the game in the series that has the most consequence for your choices.
Yeah.
Like this is like, you got to remember, like, the genophage situation is something that started in Mass Effect 1, and decisions that you made in Mass Effect 1, particularly Mass Effect 2 with the genophage, like in terms of whether you choose to save or delete fucking data from Morden's loyalty mission, that will affect how the genophage cure plays out if you decide to cure it. And
Yeah.
that's if you decide to cure it. You can totally fuck over everybody, like everybody meaning Rex and all of the Krogan race, and lie to them and say, hey, yeah, we're going to go and cure the genophage, and then make a back end fucking deal with the Solarians, and then
Yes.
totally sabotage it and fucking kill Morgan and everything. Like,
It's wild. It's fucking wild. That was those were the ones. And I gotta say, I went. I was on Rex's side the
yeah,
entire time. Like I was
yeah,
like, I don't give a fuck who this upsets. I am saving these fucking people because Rex and Grunt are both top 5 characters to me. Like I love those two
totally.
guys so much. I was like, I'm saving these. But then what else is wild is while you're doing this, and this is one of the coolest things in Mass Effect 3. While you're doing this, every time you go back to the Normandy, you can go into the war room and see how many resources you've built up toward fighting the Reapers across the galaxy. And then when you click it, it actually shows you how much each race, like each alien race or each alliance, like how much support you're getting from everybody. And you're like, yeah, you're like, okay, well, I've got the support of fuck, what are Rex's people called?
Krogan.
The Krogan. You're like, I have the support of the Krogan now, but the Solarians, I have practically nothing. And so it's like I have lots of muscle, but I don't have a lot of brain power because they hate me that I saved the Krogan. But the Krogan
Yeah,
are like Shepard's a hero to us now. And you can go the other way. And there's the Geth, and there's all these. I think that's one of the really cool things about the game is you're trying to get as many resources built up as possible to take on the Reapers, but the decisions you make impact what races, how much each race will help you, and how much support you have. And I such a it's such a minor little thing because it's just like this one little screen that you click on during the game to see how much support you've got or how much army power you have or whatever the fuck. But though, like I found myself constantly going back and checking it and going through and being like, how much support have I got from this race and this race, and like the Rachni were the ones that I left for dead.
oh, did
And
you?
I did, and I didn't want to, but I was like, you're pretty creepy. I don't need you
Yeah,
around.
I don't trust you.
Yeah, you were the ones. I'm sorry. Everybody else I tried to save, I was like, no, we're saving the Geth. We're fucking saving the Krogan. We're saving everybody else, but you fucking spiders, you can bird in this fucking cave. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
So,
this is
but
a
I
good
love that.
this is a good question to ask, I guess, leading into that, because the next big plot line that we have is the Geth and Quarian storyline.
Yes.
Now, I actually, it might be my favorite part of the game, because in Mass Effect 1, like, we only really hear the Quarian perspective, which kind of makes us think like, okay, well, the Geth rebelled against their creators, and they're kind of the bad guys in this situation, right? So in Mass Effect 1, the Geth are the bad guys in this conflict. And then Mass Effect 2, you get Legion on your team near the end of the game, and you also, have Tally's loyalty mission where they start talking about waging war on the Geth and stuff. And it's you still kind of like seeing the perspective that the Quarians are mostly the good guys in this situation, but having Legion on your side kind of it gives you a little bit more of a moral gray area. And
Yeah.
then you get here into this third game, and the Quarians, especially in that, which by the way, possibly the best quest in the entire game, going with Legion into the Geth core, like
Yeah.
basically
That
their
was
collective
awesome.
consciousness, is
Yeah.
so fucking awesome because you get to see the beginning of this conflict and kind of paints the Quarians as the bad guys in this situation,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it
And
does.
and it also gives some crazy good development to Legion because Legion is basically insinuated that Legion was the first ever unit to rebel
Yeah.
against the creators, you know, which is just adds so much. It basically makes Legion into like the legend of the Geth, right? And
Yeah.
especially how it ends, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, the Geth fascinate me because I like in real life everybody knows I'm genuinely terrified of AI. Like I genuinely am they scare the shit out of me. And so if we never got to play as Legion or use Legion, if we never recruited a member of the Geth in Mass Effect 2, I think coming into Mass Effect 3, I wouldn't even have wanted to hear what the Geth had to say. I would have been like, I'm terrified of you. You're done. We're pulling the plug and you could all become tin cans. I don't give a fuck. But when you get Legion in Mass Effect 2, I would be willing to bet you, Ian, if you pulled every Mass Effect fan on the planet, Legion would, if he didn't come in at number one as the most popular character, he'd be top three. Like
I
he
think
had like Legion's
he'd be
so
very high.
he's so iconic. And you're right. And then like so to hear that, like, well, we have no like when you start talking to Legion in this game and you get talking to the Geth and they're like, we have no interest in fighting with them. Like we're done.
Yep.
We're just they just leave us like we're good. Just let us we'll help you and then just leave us be and we'll go and live our lives and you live your lives and that's all there is to it. And I agree with you. I thought like I was like I knew going in, I was like, if I get a chance to save the Geth, I'm saving the fucking Geth because Legion. And then to top it all off, you fucking lose Legion, and it's like so you can save the
I
Geth, but
know.
at the expense of Legion. And
So
that was I can't believe I was that upset that a fucking robot died. Like Edie could have died, and I would have been like, oh well, sucks for Joker. But
yeah.
Geth died, and I was like, or fucking Legion dies, and I was like, no, fuck no,
Well,
damn it.
and what's so heartbreaking about it is that I don't know if you save both the Geth and the Quarians, or did you just save the Geth?
No, I saved both.
You saved both. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you got to see that scene where Legion and Tali looks at Legion right before he's about to basically sacrifice himself by uploading his data to make every Geth sentient.
yeah,
And Tali looks at Legion and she's like, Legion, by the way, to answer your question of does this unit have a soul? Yes. And then
yeah,
Legion looks
yes,
at Tali and he's like, I know Tali, and like keyless lie. And it's like after the mission, somebody I can't remember who says it to you, but somebody says it to you. They're like, by the fact that Legion said I know means that he was finally self-sentient,
yes,
like he wasn't, because whenever you talk to Legion before that, he always says we are Geth, we are Legion, talking with
yeah.
one is like talking to all, like that just all it's almost like the extra little knife in the heart.
Agreed. Yeah. But it was so at the same time though, like I think part of what like really making you motivated to like win this war and save everybody, you gotta kill like you gotta kill a character you love. You know what I
You
mean?
have
Like
to.
it's just like that's just and who better to kill? Like I don't the only other character I could think of in this game that you could have killed off that maybe would have gotten the same reaction from fans as killing Legion, in my opinion, is maybe Garrus.
Yeah,
Because I
100%.
think, like, I don't know about you, like to me, Garrus is like my second in command for the whole franchise. Like
Totally.
he's your Robin. He's the best. I totally forgot in Mass Effect 2 that you got him back when I
Yeah.
was replaying it, and then right at the beginning when you're like fighting that sniper, and then he popped up, and I popped, buddy. I was like, oh, I just wanted to hug him. I was like,
Yeah, man.
fucking Garrus, and I love that he's playable in this one too. He's
It's
got to be
great.
another him and Legion are both. They have to be two of the most popular because like Garrus is just he's your boy. Ride or
Yeah,
die, that guy. Ride or
for
die.
for me, it's like Garrus, Legion. I think Morden's up there.
Mm-hmm.
Rex, Grunt, like
Yeah.
Thane. I think is really awesome too.
Thane's
Jack,
awesome. Yeah.
Thane is super awesome, and yeah, like we can talk about Thane's. he's got a minimal kind of plot line in this game, but it's done really, really well.
Agreed. Yeah, I was super excited when I saw him, and I did every dialogue option possible to try to get him to come with us.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I'm gonna be fucking dead before you leave the fucking Citadel.
Yeah,
Like I can't come with you. I'm dying, sir. I can't come with you. But I thought, I think Thane is like secretly one of the cooler. Like he's kind of like I feel like he kind of goes a little under the radar, but he's such a cool character.
Well, yeah, you recruit him like in the latter half of Mass Effect 2. Like literally, I think if Thane had more screen time, like some of the other characters, I think he would be possibly like a contender for the best, but he just doesn't get enough screen time. But the way he goes out is really awesome, and his prayer scene with his son while he's dying in that hospital bed, it like literally like moved me. It gave me like goosebumps. It's really well done. So while Thane isn't a huge part of this game, like it is, his presence is very welcome.
Yeah, I think by and large, like I honestly can't think of a character in like I think one of the things Mass Effect 3 does best. You can argue how well it's achieved, but like you basically get some closure on every character you've worked with. I can't think of many that were, if there's any that were left out that we didn't get any closure on, I didn't really care about them anyways.
Yeah.
Like even I mean I know he's a loyal teammate, but like I don't give a fuck about Jacob. You know what I mean?
No,
but I was like, hey
sucks.
dude, glad you're still alive, but like I'm not gonna
I'm not gonna talk to you, but
no, you're not invited to my party. But fucking go do your thing. That's fine.
Did you not invite him?
No, I invited everybody.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I invited everybody. I felt bad. I was like, I know there's a video game, but I felt bad. I can't not invite people. But
that's
like,
hilarious.
But you get closure on everyone, and it was so exciting. And that was the thing too. Like, by the time you play Mass Effect 3, if you've played 1 and 2, you've got 2 rosters of these characters that you've grown attached to. At least all of them that survive. And so every time you run into one, be it like you go to that academy, and I didn't remember anything from this game. So like I got to that academy, and then when Jack showed up, I was like, oh shit. And my only complaint was that I couldn't use more of them in the game.
Yeah.
Like they really did kind of cut back on your roster in this one.
Well, and when you mentioned before, like this is probably, it's a contender for the weakest between this and Mass Effect 1, like in terms of what's the weakest, total squad mates you get, because you get Liara, Tali, Garrus, the survivor from Vermeer, Edie, James, and Javik. Yeah. And like that's still a solid roster compared to fucking like any other game. But like for Mass Effect, it's not quite like Mass Effect 2. But what I will say though, which kind of redeems it, you have a couple characters that are basically the best characters that aren't in that squad that basically become a part of your squad, except you just don't bring them on missions like as combat characters, but they still like accompany you, like Morden, Rex, Legion, like they all basically become part of the Normandy for like a small snippet of the game for a few hours and come with you on missions and have a bunch of dialogue. You can talk with them just like your other party members. And on top of that, all of your other characters that are, like you got Grunts, Jax, Samara, Miranda, Thane, Jacob, like they all show up in a mission or two. They all get closure to their arcs. You get to see where they're going. Like, so while it doesn't completely, like, I still would have liked to have had maybe 1 or 2 more squad mates that actually join your party.
Me too.
The game at least gives you like some time with every single one of them and make you feel like they're at least integrated into the universe and they're just not fucking like forgotten about.
Agreed. Yeah, you get closure and it doesn't feel forced the way they that all your party members show up, because they've all grown attached to Shepard. And now we're out to save the world or the galaxy. And they're all like, well, I got to help fucking Shepard. Like that was great. Every time you saw one was really cool. And I think the developers are in a tough spot, because if you just basically give you the same roster as Mass Effect 2, then people are like, well, all it is Mass Effect 2 again. So if you give people a new roster, they're like, well, I liked the characters from Mass Effect 2. So I get that they're in a tough spot. If I could have changed one thing about the roster in Mass Effect 3, I would have made, at least if you were able to save her, I would have made the female Krogan playable.
Yeah, Eve, she's an awesome character. She's
I think that would have been, because like everybody loves you. Like I was disappointed you didn't have a Krogan in this one, and the fact that like if they would have unleashed the beast of this, like and they even I think it would have been even cooler if they had made her like the most powerful of the 3 Krogans you had and showed you like just how fucking
she has like biotic abilities.
Yeah, like if they would have just made her a fucking monster. If I could have added one character to the playable roster, it would have been her.
Yeah, she would have been cool.
Yeah,
I
but
just think it glares so bad because it's like James is such a fucking weak character compared to everybody else, and you're just
yeah.
like, okay, like you're just taking up a roster spot from somebody that could be cool, you know?
Yeah, I literally never used him other than when it forced me, like, at the beginning of the game. I was like,
Yeah.
You are the most fucking, like, you make Jacob seem like the most fascinating man in the world. Like, you're fucking useless. Go down to engineering or wherever the fuck you hang out and just
Yeah.
go do your pull-ups and cook eggs and leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
So, agreed.
Oh
But
man,
yeah, like that. Yeah. Other than
every
that, though,
time
the
he said
party's solid.
loco, just like fuck off, bro. I'm
I
not your
know.
loco.
Fucking guy. Even at the part, which I will say, by the way, I played through all the DLC. The Leviathan DLC was rad. The Omega DLC was very cool. I gotta say, I wasn't a big fan of the party DLC. I thought that whole mission with the clone Shepard and like your fucking team is. I know we said we're going to the positives, but when your whole team, like, they're all making like wisecracks to each other while you're playing it and stuff, and I was like, okay, the galaxy is burning and this seems like a pretty serious situation. And now all of a sudden we're a sitcom group for fucking 3 hours. Like, that was the one that I was like, all right, I've had enough of this.
It,
Let's get back to fucking people up.
I would say that this DLC, because this DLC, the Citadel DLC, I love it, like absolutely love it, but it does feel so disjointed because like there's a big fucking conflict going on where the end of the world's happening and now
Yeah.
we're forced to take shore leave. It's like you really have to, as the player, just say like, you know what, how I actually like to think about the Citadel DLC. I've never done this, but I almost think it works better, and I know this would have like ruined the narrative for people who decided on synthesis and control, but I almost would like to think of the DLC as like, hey, you chose destroy, Shepard lived, and we're having a big ass fucking like shore leave party because, to celebrate beating the Reapers. Like that
Yeah.
would have been so, because like I think that changes the tone of the DLC so much where you're like, hey, the conflict's done, and now we just get to have some fucking fun. And Shepard can't get
Agreed.
a break because
Yeah.
the clone is
Agreed.
fucking
And
fucking his shit up.
even if Shepard was dead, like, even if Shepard had been dead, then like just let you play as Garrus or somebody and go around the party that way. Like
Yeah,
I agree. It felt like all the other DLC made total sense because it all, at the end of the day, all of it is you trying to accumulate more resources and more information to take on, like when you do the Omega mission and like Arya's there and she's awesome. And like you're trying to get her to help you by like going and getting all of her fucking shady individuals to like join your cause, and Leviathan, and you're trying to get more information on how to take down the Leviathan's the most important of these outside of
easily.
fucking Javik, which shouldn't even have been fucking DLC. But I agree with you. Like, it's so hard to, like, all these other ones, it even some of, like, even when you're on a regular mission, there are moments where I'm like, is this really the best use of our limited time before the galaxy has exploded? Is this what we should be working on? But
Yeah,
I could get by because all of it led to you getting more resources for this final war. But then, yeah, shore leave in this party. It's like, imagine if they, like, I know this is a stretch, but like, fucking, okay, boys, Hitler is in that bunker. We got him. So everyone take a week, go get something to eat, fucking relax. And then
yeah,
when you come back, we're finishing this fucking thing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And it was like, you can't do that. What?
yeah. And he just
So
took a cyanide pill out of bordom, and
yeah,
now
yeah,
it's yeah,
yeah, yeah. He's like, I'm not waiting for these guys anymore.
yeah.
Fuck
Fuck
this.
this.
Like,
Yeah,
and that's all. Anyways,
yeah. I get it 100%. That's another just big thing about this game is like every other Mass Effect game, like Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, you have like a loose story and there's a motivation for everything, but nothing seems like, until like the last few hours of the game, there's nothing in this story on Mass Effect 1 or 2 where it feels like, hey, we need to go do this now or
yeah,
we're fucked. But Mass Effect 3 kind of, it's not a criticism, but you kind of force yourself the first 5 minutes of the fucking game, like the Reapers are here on Earth,
yeah, yeah,
so that it kind of landlocks you into this position where there's not a lot of levity, there's not a lot of room for like just happy-go-lucky shit to go on because like the world's ending. So it kind of puts, I understand why the Citadel DLC was there, because you're like, hey, like we want to, this is our last, that's their last piece of content that they ever released for this trilogy.
hmm,
And instead of, so I think at the time people were like, oh, this is great, like no fucking Star Child ending, no fucking like Reaper War, we can just chill and have a good time and have this big old party and get to see all these characters, give everyone a proper last send off.
yeah.
But like playing it now with the Legendary Edition, it just I don't even know like when to play it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. 100%. Yeah. Everything else, like Omega, Leviathan, they all fit in and they really like if I didn't know they were DLC, I would have never guessed. Like they
Yeah.
fit in so well. Whereas that Citadel stuff, yeah, you're right. They just never felt like there was a right time to and like this is listen, I don't want anyone listening to this to just be like, it's a fucking video game, have fun. I get it. You're right. It is. And like, what's the alternative? Is it the develop? Because you said the Reapers hit, like, shit hits the fan in the first, like, 10 minutes of the fucking game. Like, would you rather they put, like, a 40-hour timer on the game and they're like, at the end of 40 hours, you go to war whether you want to or not? Like, I want time to stop and smell the roses and enjoy this game. So you do have to suspend your belief a little bit and just be like, all right, the fucking Anderson's got shit under control. I'm gonna enjoy myself. He's doing fine. Look at that guy's been around. He knows we're fine.
And if you like do suspend your disbelief, like I do think this is some of the best content in the entire series. It does exactly like what the lead writers at BioWare really do best, which is just you get these characters together and you just make shit happen. Like
Yeah.
fucking seeing Grunt, like I don't know if you got that scene where like Grunt like got captured by security and got arrested.
Yes,
You
I did.
know,
Yeah.
it's like holy shit, man. It's just so funny. And then like Rex is fucking complaining because his balls are drained and he can't have sex anymore, like at the
Yeah.
bar. I don't know
I
if you got
enjoyed
that
some
scene.
of. Yeah, I did. I enjoyed some of those. Like they fit. They were fun. It just they just seemed very out of place considering the
Yeah, like people are being
circumstances.
harvested right now.
Yeah, that's all. We've been going for an hour already. But I just want to say, like, we're never gonna. There's so much in that you could do a fucking 4-hour episode on this fucking game.
Totally.
I want to talk about the combat because you said it, and like the combat, I will say, like, one of the things I've heard from a few listeners is they're like, dude, on your recommendations, I've tried the Mass Effect trilogy, and they're like, I just can't get into it. I will say, and normally I hate it when people message me and they're like, hey, if you get through the first 5 hours of this thing, it gets really good. Especially Mass Effect 1, it can be a slow burn out of the gate. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame anyone that's walked away, but I will say, like, if you can just get through that first Citadel portion of Mass Effect 1, things start to get good. And by
Yeah.
Mass Effect 3, like, you have got a really solid, polished game. And it's not just from a storytelling, narrative, decision-based standpoint. When you actually go onto the missions and it sends you out into this third-person shooter combat, I don't think it's like I think if you take a game like a Gears of War, for example, compared to Mass Effect, I do think Gears combat hits a little harder, but Gears isn't also trying to tell this story and be open world and let you do all these other things. Mass Effect, like by Mass Effect 3, the combat doesn't. I don't mean to be. The combat doesn't feel like it's just there for the sake of being there. Like
Yeah.
the combat, like if you didn't have all the decision making and stuff, and Mass Effect 3 was just a level by level third person shooter, I don't think it'd be a legendary shooter, but it's a competent shooter in its own right.
This is easily the best in the series. I mean,
Yeah.
like like I came right off of Mass Effect 2 and just really quickly, like with the Legendary Edition, Mass Effect 1 is greatly improved. Like
I
the
believe that.
the combat feels way better, you know, it works way better. It feels a lot more like 2 and 3. And with the Legendary Edition, you can play through Mass Effect 1 in like 12 hours if you just blast through the main mission. All the side content is like fucking super time consuming, but you don't
Yeah.
have to do any of that. So, you know, somehow if you've gotten this far in the podcast and you've never played these games, like, and you want to go back, like, play Mass Effect 1 and just don't do any side missions, and you'd
Yeah.
have a good time. But
Yeah.
anyway, the combat in this game is like when I was playing through Mass Effect 2 a couple months ago, I started to kind of get bored. I'm not gonna lie. Like the level design was kind of, it's very basic. You know, there's not a whole lot going on. The enemies, like you just basically have the same three sets of enemies, waves, you know, that just come by and you just shoot. It gets really repetitive. Mass Effect 3, I did not get bored of the combat. Like the
Me
level
neither.
design is much improved. They fucking send like 3 times more enemies, all in like different areas. It's a lot more dynamic, and the shooting's actually pretty tight.
Yeah, it
Like
is.
it's very tight, and you have a ton of weapon variety. You get like 10 different weapons for each like weapon class, and you're not like landlocked. Like I play it as a Vanguard, so and in Mass Effect 2 you only get like I think it's pistols and like shotguns. And then in Mass Effect 3, you can choose any weapon you want. Like you can.
Yeah.
So I used assault rifles like throughout the whole game, and I was
Dude,
a
I used
Vanguard.
that fucking plasma rifle. I think it
Oh
comes
my
with the
god.
Javik DLC. I used that thing for almost the entire game. Like that
I
thing was such a hoss. Fuck.
I had to stop using it because I was just ripping through things so much, and I was
Yeah.
playing on normal because I wanted to get through it quick. I'm like,
Yeah.
I literally think I would save this for like an insanity run because this is just it's way too powerful.
Yeah.
So
And I
like
and I
I
like that.
nerfed myself.
That's probably the right because I used it the whole time, and yeah, there were times where I was like, you just lock it on an enemy and just watch their health melt away, and I was
Yeah,
like, fuck, all right. I really like how you can equip like a shotgun, an assault rifle, a pistol, a sniper rifle. But the more you equip, the heavier it is, and then the longer it takes your abilities to recharge. So there's a little bit more variety in like, do you want to focus on your abilities? Do you want to like? I always brought a sniper rifle and then my assault rifle. And
yeah,
that was, I think I put my recharge time at about like minus 80 or some shit percent. And I thought that was, I could live with that. That was fine.
yeah,
But then like also when you take your teammates in, and I know it was like this in Mass Effect 2, but I really felt like your teammates played substantially. Like if you went into a battle, like a firefight with like Edie and Liara, you had a whole different strategy than if you went in with like Javik and Garrus.
totally.
And
And
I thought they really did a good job differentiating them in this game.
and they're a lot more active too. Like they actually use
Yes.
their powers and stuff. And I never use the squad commands like to like take cover and shit. Like so I
Me
can't
neither.
comment on that. But like
No.
in terms of them just like going out of their way, like Garrus would use like an overload on like a tech, like a Geth. Like, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't have to tell him, and he'd do it like pretty consistently. Like almost every time I went into the power wheel, they were actually using their powers, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
nice.
The AI was like I didn't find myself constantly having to rush over and rescue my squad mates in this one. On
Totally.
occasion, but not all the time. Cause man, Mass Effect 2, at times I feel like you're just letting your one of your AI partners do all the fighting while you just keep reviving the other one.
Yeah, a hundred
And
percent.
I agree with that. It didn't feel nearly as forced this time. That said, I still Javik and that plasma rifle, and I was like, the third person, you're just here for show. Me and Javik
Yeah,
got shit under control here.
yeah, you're
Fuck,
fine. You don't need anybody else.
fuck that guy's such a beast.
I know.
Um, fuck. There's so much more we could say about this fucking game. But one other thing too, I wanted to ask you this: am I like I found currency in this game? Not that it was like a huge deal in Mass Effect 2 either, but I found the currency basically irrelevant.
Yeah, like
Whenever I go back to the Citadel, I would buy shit just for the sake of buying stuff. Like I'd be like, I don't really need anything. I have more money than I know what to do with, because in Mass Effect 2, you're trying to like equip your ship enough to survive the jump.
yeah,
And in this one, I didn't like you. I didn't even feel like you could use your money to like, buy more resources for the war. If you could, I don't know how. Like it just felt like it was there for the sake of being there.
totally. Yeah, like I think I ran out of money like in the first like couple hours of the game a few times because I was trying to get all those like because the guns go from like Model 1 to like Model 5 and
Yeah,
it like gives you pretty significant upgrades. So
yeah,
I ran out of money a couple times early on with that, and then by like I literally think by the end of the game when I was done like all my planet scanning and shit, and I was like ready to do the final point of no return, I think I had almost $1 million like in
me
my
too.
account. Like I was
Yeah,
just
with
it didn't
nothing to
matter.
spend it on. Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing to
nothing.
spend it on. Because it does hit the point too, where like, and maybe it's because I was playing with the plasma rifle and stuff, but like, I didn't even feel the need to buy any weapons because the weapons I was finding in the field and the accessories I was finding in the field were adequate enough for upgrades on anything I needed.
Yeah, they're
Like it just
overpowered.
didn't seem to matter. So,
Yeah. I yeah, for sure. Another thing
um,
I want to mention is which is a huge positive in this game is that you are not forced to do Paragon or Renegade throughout the game. Like
yeah,
in Mass Effect 2, you have to play as a Paragon or a Renegade and just stick to that like the entire time. And if you don't, then when Jack and Miranda have their fucking cat fight, like you're not going to be able to keep both their loyalties. And same with Tali and Legion. Like when I first played this trilogy 10 years ago, like I never knew that, and then I ended up having to fucking choose between Jack and Miranda, and I ended up choosing Miranda because I was romancing her or whatever my first playthrough, and then I fucking Jack died, and then I never had her in Mass Effect 3. So
uh,
like that's a pretty fucking shitty thing. You know, you're basically forced to play one side. It's like playing an Infamous game almost,
yeah,
right? But then in this game, you can like I played mostly Paragon in this game, but it basically just goes off of reputation. It doesn't go off of Paragon and Renegade points. If you do a Paragon decision or a Renegade decision, you get points regardless. And when it comes time to do like a Charm or Intimidate option, like whether you're talking to Luciman or the Geth Quarian thing or anything like that, you can do a Charm or Intimidate no matter what your Paragon or Renegade points are. It's just based on your reputation. And that made things so much nicer because it makes you feel like you're not landlocked to being just the fucking shiny clean good guy or the total fucking asshole evil motherfucker that Shepard is in Mass Effect 3 if you play as Renegade. Like I played mostly Paragon, but then when, we're on the Geth Dreadnought and that stupid fucking admiral starts shooting us down like while we're inside the ship, when I get inside, like I'm telling them fuck off and get off
Yeah.
my goddamn ship,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, this goes back to something we talked about an hour ago. One of the things Mass Effect does the best is so many games hype up that your decisions matter, and they just don't really feel like they do that
Yeah.
much. And this one, from who lives and who dies to like how the story plays out to if you're good, if you're evil, and in return, who wants to work with you and who doesn't. All I can imagine when they were trying to map out the story and how it would all play out based on your decisions, all I think of is that like Charlie Day meme with like the
Yeah.
board and all the twine everywhere and stuff. Cause I can't even fathom it. This is like the biggest choose your own adventure book of all time.
Totally.
And it's really, I agree with you. Cause I went mostly Renegade, but then there was the occasional instance where I was like, I have to go. I'm evil, but I'm not that fucking evil. A couple of times.
You're not going to lie to Rex's face and fuck
No,
over the Genophage.
no, that one I hesitated on when they came to me and they were like, "Hey, we can still sabotage this cure," and I was like, between the fact that I love Rex and I love Grunt and Morden really wants to do the right thing here,
dude.
Morden which is one of the coolest things about him. He's willing to give his own life to save them. Like that is, I was like, I can't lie to this fucking guy. That and I'm worried if he finds out I lied to him, he'll fucking eat me.
Oh, dude, do you know what happens if you fuck him over and like, dude? So if you do that, if Rex is still alive and you do that, you fuck over the Genophage cure and lie to him, he will confront you at the Citadel like 3/4 of the way through the game. And he's like, Shepard, you fucking piece of shit, and then you have to gun down Rex. Like you fucking kill Rex if you fuck him over.
That would have ruined the game for me. I couldn't do it. Oh my god! Man. And then there's a great part because I was so loyal to the Krogan at the very end of the game, like you said, when you're kind of just saying your last goodbyes to like your teammates as they're standing around and you're walking through the old buildings and stuff. And there's a part where you come across Rex, and there's just this like mutual respect, and he just shakes your hand, and he's just like, "It's been an honor to fight with you," or whatever the fuck. And I was just like, "Fuck yeah, bro! Like you're like my Coltrane of Mass Effect. You're my fucking boy. Like I got your back to the end, buddy." And then I wanted to just tell him like, just fucking just take it, like just wrap it up occasionally, like just a little, like just don't make me regret this, please. Okay, man. So, and that's something I wanted to know. Like, what happened? Like, did they mass replicate and fucking ruin the planets and the galaxy forever, or like?
There's a slideshow like somewhere along the lines. I think if you choose to sabotage the Genophage, then and like you side with the Rachni or whatever, then you will see Tuchanka and it's like totally overtaken with Rachni, and like they basically destroy the Krogan. But then like if you save the Krogan, like you choose to cure the Genophage, then you see those scenes with them on Tuchanka with like new babies and stuff. So it seems like, I think it's more up to interpretation in terms of like what happens 50 years later if they mass produce again, then the same shit fucking happens. But
like when I ended the game, I ended it with the belief that like this genuinely was the event that brought the galaxy together and like ended wars, and people started to be like, you know what, like I've often joked that I don't think there's a thing that could happen to the planet Earth that would bring humanity together. I don't like aliens could come to Earth and be like, hey, if you could all get along for 3 days, we'll cure cancer. We'll make sure everyone has food forever, and we won't kill all of you. And humanity within 6 minutes would be fighting on social media about it.
100%.
And I'd like to think this was the final, like this was the thing where all the hatchets were buried, and it's like, okay, we're starting over. We're the ones that survived.
Yeah,
So,
and I chose destroy, and I think the reason why I choose destroy every time, I've never chosen anything else, is because if you broker peace between the Geth and Quarians, if you cure the genophage, like you do all these things, it's just, to me, it's like it's that evidence that, hey, it's the positive, like if we can get through this, then we can get through anything,
yeah,
and so to me, this whole conflict that Star Child talks about at the end, where it's inevitable that AI will rise above organics, it's like, well, we kind of solved that with the Geth and Quarians, so I'm going to
that's a
choose
good point.
destroy.
That's a
You
good
know,
point.
um,
Yeah. I flip flop between destroy and the neutral like
synthesis.
synthesize. And
Yeah,
I went neutral. But then once, like, I don't know about you, when I finish a game that has multiple endings,
yeah, you
the
go
first thing
back.
I'm doing is looking up the rest of the endings.
Yeah,
And I looked up some of the other endings, and honestly, I flipped between that and destroy. And I watching them, I wish because ironically, I feel like destroy is the happy ending if done properly.
yeah. If like Shepard survives and stuff, like
Yeah.
it definitely
Um,
feels like the
but it
happy
doesn't
ending.
feel like it
But
at the time, you know?
but Edie and the Geth die. Like that's
Yeah.
one thing that happens that they don't really explain. But like they say that, yeah, synthetics will all be wiped out. It won't discriminate, but it doesn't show that Edie, like, I think it would have hit a bit harder as like a more morally gray ending is, if you fucking have a scene where Edie just like bugs out and fucking craps out and Joker's right beside her, or you see the Geth like all just shut down. Like, I think that would have hit a bit harder. It goes back
Yeah.
to our talks about the ending. We don't have to talk about it again, but I will say I do want to shout out those last conversations with your squad mates, especially like Garrus, I would say, and Liara. Both of
Yeah.
their end scenes right before the final battle are excellent. Uh,
Yeah.
like Garrus's conversation with Shepard about how, if they both don't make it out, I'll meet you at the bar. And, if Shepard doesn't make it out, he'll be looking down on him. Like that whole scene is so well done. This entire game is so well voice acted and written.
It really
Like,
is. Yeah, it is. But I agree with you. At Garrus, and again, going back to him, like it's just anyone that's played these games, I don't like the maybe your love interest from part one. Like because I romanced Ashley in this one as well, because that was my girl in part. I love that girl. But like
mhm,
she's not there in part two, and it's just Garrus is at least I can say is like I will say is like as a male, like I don't know if women have like I know women are friends and get along with each other. Stuff like there's something about that bro code. You know what I mean?
totally.
Like and it's just and Garrus is that guy. Garrus is that like fucking through thick or thin, he is right there and he has always got your back and he never questions you and just I agree. It
Yeah,
was I was genuinely hard to like say goodbye to the guy because I was like, fuck, we spent a lot of time together, man. We've done some shit.
totally.
I
And,
agree.
I think Liara's cool scene with like where you go into that previous memory of hers, I thought
Yeah.
that was really well done. Like I also romanced her as Shepard in all three games, so like that,
Okay.
I guess that kind of hits a bit harder too. But like just I've also not romanced her, and that scene is still there. Like
Yeah,
it's
it is.
still a
Yeah,
really
yeah,
cool
I saw it.
scene.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I know that people really hated this ending when it first came out, when the extended cut wasn't around, when Leviathan wasn't around, but these things were still in there. Like there were still glimpses of real brilliance from the writing team. Was it completely well done, especially the first time around? No, but you can't tell me that this ending was completely just garbage, categorically bad with scenes like this. Like, because what other game does shit like this happen?
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
Like really.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I'm so surprised that since Mass Effect, there is really, I guess, Dragon Age, but not really. Like, there's no other series that has ever done anything like this, where it's AAA, you have three or whatever games where decisions matter and they all carry over into the next on this scale. Like, I'm just so shocked that no other gaming company has ever done anything like that. Like, it's just so weird to me because this
Agreed.
is this is a beloved series. Like, I'm sure that you'll see it in the comments when, you do the infamous intro. It's like people love this series.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly shocked that they haven't brought another game out like in the last 7 years, but I don't
I
know.
mean,
We'll see.
I didn't did you play Andromeda at all? Because I did not, but I know
I
people
did.
hated it.
I
Was it
did.
that bad? Like, people hated that fucking game. I didn't play it. I don't know why people hated it.
It was like a 6 out of 10. Like
Okay.
it's not a bad, like awful disaster of a game, but in terms of what you expect from BioWare, like it's just not up to
Yeah.
the it's not up to
Well,
standard.
I mean, everybody knows that, like, I don't know if you know, but like like they have been, like, a new Mass Effect game is in the oven. Like, they've
Yeah.
been showing that for a while, and I can't agree with you more, man. Like, I could keep going about this fucking game forever. This is not even my preferred genre of game, and I am just
Yeah, me too.
infatuated with this series. I'm listening to one of the audiobooks ever since I finished playing this, and it's awesome. And I'm such a fan. And I think my lasting memory of Mass Effect 3 from my first playthrough of it was just that, like, I felt that the ending was just too fast. I was like, it just that I wanted more from a finish. And while I do still feel that way, I like this game a lot more than I remember liking it the first time I played through it. This is pretty much a 1A 1B with Mass Effect 2. I like the party better, I like the ending better of Mass Effect 2. But I agree with you. This is one of the best video game trilogies ever made. I'm begging you, if you're listening to this, the legendary edition goes on sale all the time for like $10. And I'm telling you that $10 for Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 with all of the DLC is maybe the greatest deal in the history of video games outside of my Patreon. Like, it is that fucking good of I had to get one in. But like, it really is
Yeah,
that incredible of fucking deal. It is just magnificent. 3 magnificent video games, man. Great pick.
absolutely.
When you picked it, I was excited, but I also was like, fuck, that's a mouthful of fucking video game. But then
Oh man.
after about 5 hours of replaying it, I was like, fuck, I'm glad he picked this. Just like when Zach picked Mass Effect 2, I was like, fuck, that's going to be a big one. But then after started playing it, I was like, I'm so glad I'm replaying this because I never would have found time to replay it otherwise. And
Yeah.
these games are just masterpieces.
Well,
I don't know what else
honestly,
to say.
man, like when I picked this, I picked it because I was like, I don't know if like because I'm a fan of the show, right? And I was like, I don't know if you're ever gonna get a chance to do this game, and I would really love to kind of get not just for you to hear your thoughts on it, but just to get the air out, like say it to the world a little bit. Like Mass Effect 3 is an amazing game, and
Really
it
is.
does not deserve the legacy that it kind of has of like, yeah, this is kind of a shit game that like the ending sucks. It's like, no, man, like you play it today in its full version with all the DLC and the Legendary Edition. We are talking about one of the greatest games ever made.
Agreed.
And it gave me a great excuse to play it again too. It's been like 7 or 8 years since I played through this trilogy, and I'm a busy guy, like as you know, like I don't have time to play through a fucking RPG. Like, and that being said, I'm glad to be done, but it gave me a perfect excuse to
Yeah.
go back and play through this amazing set of games. It's easily the entire Mass Effect trilogy is a contender for my favorite game of all time, and it was so nice to fall in love with the series again.
Agreed. Yeah, it hit so much harder than I expected. Just one last, and we're gonna score this thing and wrap this up. I have never, and I don't believe this. I may be wrong, but I don't think the multiplayer servers are active with the Legendary Edition. I
I
don't.
don't no,
I've
I don't
never
think so.
played the multiplayer. Have you?
I played it back in the day in order. So this is fucked up, but another fucking EA thing. Um, Basically, in the original release of the game, you needed X amount of war assets to get like a certain ending, right? Like your
Mhm.
ending improves the more war assets you get.
Yeah.
And there was this thing, it was called Galactic Readiness, I think it was called. And you were basically forced to play through the multiplayer, like play a certain amount of games to get your Galactic Readiness up. And so if you didn't play any multiplayer, your war assets were forced into half. Like if you had
Oh.
7,000 war assets but you didn't play any multiplayer, your percentage was at like 50%, and
Okay.
then it would only be 3,500. And so they literally like forced you to like play multiplayer, and obviously there are microtransactions and multiplayer and
Sure.
shit.
Sure.
So it was just this whole ploy. It was a really fucking shitty business model, like ploy to just try and get more money out of people by
Yeah.
integrating it with the main story. It man, like almost every single negative I have of this game is all fucking
Oh
EA's fault.
yeah.
Like
EA is, you can't spell greasy without EA. They are the fucking worst. I agree. They are the fucking worst.
it's awful.
Um I wanted to get that in there in case I got messages being like, why didn't you guys talk about the multiplayer? I literally never touched it. I have nothing to add. So I'm sure it was fine. I don't know what else to fucking, they were good.
Yeah.
All right, Ian, we should fucking, this might go down as one of the, I think our Mass Effect 2 episode was one of our longest episodes ever, either. It's just there's so much to talk about in the world of Mass Effect.
Yeah.
We need to score this fucking thing. I know it's a lame scale, but I just really like Mass Effect and I want to just score it out of 10 because I respect it too much to give it some stupid, unless you've got an idea for some stupid scale. I'm fine with that.
I don't know. Every 50,000 years, the Reapers come back.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right, that's actually pretty good. 50,000 is pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. I like that. All right, never mind. Wouldn't be Remember the Game if we didn't go stupid. Let's go stupid. Yeah. You're the guest, my friend. Out of 50,000 years, how many years would you give Mass Effect 3?
I'm gonna give it 48,000. I think, some of the side quest shit kind of brings it down a bit, but that's optional. And I think the ending brings it down. Maybe it should bring it down a bit more, but I don't know. Fuck it. I'll just bring it down 1,000 for that as well. Like, I think considering what BioWare was given in the short development time they had and everything, like, and just looking at the game face value, I still really do like the ending. I love this fucking game. It's one of my favorite of all time. It's close to a 10 out of 10. And I will say, for the trilogy, it is a 50,000 out of 50,000. It is.
I'll agree there.
100%. The sum is greater than the whole of its parts. No single game in this series is a perfect 10, but they're all pretty fucking close. And when you put them all together, this is a gaming experience unlike anything else in potentially all of gaming. It's amazing what they achieved here, and they did this finale justice. It is really an amazing game. I love it. I love this game. And I'm so glad I got to come back and play it. So 48,000.
Yeah, I'm going to go 47. It's like a 9.5 out of 10. It's a great game. I'm going to take, I'm taking a point off because frankly, it's not Mass Effect 2. I do like Mass Effect 2 a little better. And then, that Javik thing is just inexcusable to me. Mm-hmm. Like, that is just and like, you can argue that's not the game's fault. That's the developer's fault. And, I'll hear that, but, guilty by association. I'm sorry. That Javik should have been in the game. Like, fuck. Of all the characters, I'm not going down that far. How do you take that guy and fucking day one DLC? EA, you fucking slime bags. If EA is the fucking Cerberus of the video game world.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah,
easily the Cerberus of the
Maybe
video
the
game
Reapers.
world.
Maybe they're coming to just destroy gaming altogether, and we won't know.
Yeah.
And remember,
Activision
the game
Blizzard
needs to
might
unite
be the Reapers.
Oh, those fucks.
Yeah.
Listen, Ian, this literally was a year in the fucking making. Thank you for great pick. Thanks for taking some time to talk to me. And to go back to this from 90 minutes ago, you were incredibly supportive of our 24-hour stream last year. And for all of you listening, this year, November 8th and 9th, we're doing it again. So come by and say hi. You'll be able to bid on a chance to come on and do a show just like this. Ian, thanks for all your support of the show. And thank you for your support of the Stollery as well, my friend.
Of course. Yeah. There's the Stollery is an amazing organization. We both live in Alberta, so we know, kind of firsthand how awesome of an organization it is. Yeah, drop by the charity stream. I think it's like a day after. By the time this episode releases, we're recording this in mid-October, but like I think November 6th this comes out, and I think the next day you're doing the charity stream. So drop by, and if you're looking for, a donation to a good cause, the Stollery is one of the best ones you can support.
Agreed. Good shit, buddy. Thanks for doing this, man. Good talking to you.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
That is going to do it for this week's episode. Ian, buddy, thank you so much for giving me a call, for talking Mass Effect 3. Thank you for your donation to the Stollery Children's Hospital, for supporting Remember the Game. I'm not going to suck your dick anymore. Thank you so much for the support. Appreciate you. And I haven't forgotten all of you. For every single one of you listening to this show right now, whether this was your first episode, your 316th, some random number, Thank you so much. There's so many retro gaming podcasts out there, and that you somehow stumbled into our little abode means the world to me. Thank you so much. As I said at the beginning of this, Ian donated to the Stollery Children's Hospital through Extra Life to support our Extra Life campaign and help raise money for sick kids. And we are doing it again this weekend, Friday, November 8th, Saturday, November 9th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain, both days. I will be online playing video games, raising money for the Stollery. If you donate $20 or more, you're getting a tax receipt. You're going to get entered into a prize draw to win some Remember the Game swag or a video game of your choice. And we will be auctioning off a chance to be my guest on an episode of Remember the Game in the new year. I hope y'all can come by and check us out. There'll be links in the description of this podcast, or just go to rememberthegamepodcast.com and you'll find your way to the streams. I'm going to thank some patrons and get out of here because I got some stuff to do tonight. It's Monday night and I got things going on. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate all of you. Leave us a good review if you enjoyed it, would you? I'm not sure what they do, but I'm supposed to ask for them. And we'll be back next week. I'm actually taking next week off, but you're not going to miss podcasts. We're not going to have a game patch for patrons, but all the other shows are going live, including Remember the Game 317, which, if all the stars align, will be about F-Zero X for the Nintendo 64 with former pending Remember the Game Hall of Famer Mark McHugh. Take it easy, everybody. Cheers. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all the content I churn out every week without all of your support. These people are at the senior executive vice president level or higher at patreon.com/rememberthegame, and as such, I am contractually obligated to thank them as quickly as I humanly can. So a huge thank you to Remember the Game Hall of Famer, Slick Motherfucking Rick. Makeshift Mellow Magic Money, Joe Buck, Sharonic, J Nasty 15, I Like Jorts, they're comfy and easy to wear, James Clark, Dave McGee, Dan of Dissect That Film, Doug Dorn, Chris Fleury, Andrew Wright, Jordan, Confused But Still Here, Eldest Millennial, Lil Bunny Fufu 89, Angry Ticks, Dave Thompson, No One Cares, Scott Brooks, Aaron Lawson, JSK Fusick, A-Town, Morgan, Zane Donovan, Ryan Kinchin, Mike Maloney, G9PSX, Mercury 869, Wolfgang Darren, Andy Hudson, Doogie. Buddy, I just remembered we're having quesadillas for dinner tonight. Fuck yeah. It's going to be fucking delicious. Wolf Magic 21, Johnny from Virginia, Squints, Zonko 504, Jeff Bergeron, Daniel, John Woodruff, Randy Barrage, Just a Fish, Stealthy Foot Fetish, you fucking triple secret probation, you son of a bitch. It's the worst name I ever heard. Holmes, Zach Shepard, Triple, Trugger 22, Elijah Burns, It's That Nerd James, Madam Nutsitch, DBXJ, Steve Dalk, Standard Ass Brian Mizuru, Juris Dr. Mario, Tyler, Phil Lencher, Joe the Sandman, Jake Carter, Biddy, Laces Out Dan, Growlywog, Beaver Boy, Thomas Smith, Leroy Westrich, Rush's Dog Walker, Stud Still Smash, Brant Hewitt, Matt Babineau, Gabe, Dan Fusselman, Fuzzy99, Decoy Man, a dude named Adam, Wyatt the Surgeon Who's Not a Surgeon Rowe, Blaine the Hoagie Man, Scary Terry, Archangel Otaku, Earl, Hagel Waffle, High Plains Drifter, Jimothy, Oroku Saki's Gardener, Coda Blaze, formerly banned, Cody Richardson, General Fury, I cancel my Netflix to afford this shout out, Max Lagroom, James Juan Francesco, John of the Adult Children Podcast, Drugs Bud, okay, Sam Carpenter, Donnie the Dude, Walter, Nerdy Hybrid, The Fletchman, Sleeper Hit, Squeak Nuts, Zeus, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Wimp 15, Christian Gabriel, Maverick Marty, Musty Beetle, Graham Kennedy, John M. Watkins, Timothy Sabrinsky, My Left Nut, Beef Dingleberry, Hitchy Poo, Burt Macklin, Quiet Place Queen, Cam Nelly 23, Christopher Britt, Zamatos, Big the Cat, Tadpole, T-Bear 87, Maverick, Brandon DeZeba, Kia Pup, Monstrous the Boner, AB Killen, Works for Me, Alexander Camps, Montgomery Mole, Ted Explosion, Ryan Perry, Alex R, Ichi Nutsuru, Just Car Pranks, Rated Excellent, Darth Skywalter, Postman, Nick Creature, Youngster TK, Adam Arnett, The Big Deal, Kevin Monroe, Can't Destroyer, Nordak, Leroy Jenkins, Lord Palmerston, Beers of War, Because 19, Marcus Mendoza, Lord Longrob, Von Hugendon II, Roger Stahlbox, Pool Cleaner, Lucas Shaman, Frosty Bear, Max Sandin, Sour Goatface, Alex Ramos, Faded Sufferance, Tristan Anderson, Benjamin Atkins, Kyber Fiber Zombie, Chris Hill is a master tromboner, Mellow Yellow 8787, B Money, Penguin Milk, Fallen Snow Kiku, The Supreme Chozorizo, Fill Up My Farts With My Mouth, E-Man Trucker, Mark Sneed, Shoeboxers, Tornado, Adam Blank still hasn't reviewed Mario Galaxy, Jay Callahan, Robbie Air, Guy Who Does Things, Sabin, Brian Richmond, Blobby Rogers, Bula, Blast Processing, Won the War, All Hail Sega, Mad Zeus, Plow King, Cesar, Fill Up My Mouth With Farts, Liquor Like Luigi, Cody Thompson, Put It in H, Chaz Hammond, Elephant Calves, Ace McGuy, Mr. Jabroni, Big Daddy Randall, Addy Yellow, Ryan Whitcomb, Daddy Secret, Little Chubby, Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong, Toby O.P., Scotty McGee, Alex McIntyre, Spider Cat, Z-Train 22, S. Eric Hopewell, Darbles, Krusty's Clogger, David Schroeder, Theodore, Diablo Spartan, Justin Blair, McCracken, Wilco, VOS Rager, Super Jess, Captain Steve N, Adam's former assistant, Ryan Stemmerding, Shank the Rat-Faced Bastard, Crystal Lake Management, Leo, Dazeris, Super Science, Safarioth, Savage Boosh, The Grim Patron, Combo Chuck, MacGyver88, Travis Sanders, Lord Salazar, Zen Paladin, Captain Asbury Juice, Doogie Bowser MD, Rest in Peace Koopalings, Thunderleaps, Benjamin Barry, Jinxie425, Akiris Network, Horrorstalgia, a podcast, Zane93, Romaldo Marquez, Fancy Store-Bought Dirt, and Steaming Wooly. That's actually not a bad batch of shoutouts. Good batch of shoutouts, episode's done, and fucking quesadillas. Everything's coming up, Adam. Take it easy, everybody. Cheers.